The Z to Z Podcast.
Proulx, let me show you how it's done. Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. It's about achievements, we'll unlock it. See, now that's how you do an intro. Or you can do it like in the big man voice, like, Friday, brand new podcast. You can find show notes for this show as well as previous shows on the website z2z.com. This is episode 115. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2ZZEDTOZED, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. $5 will buy you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Now that's an intro.
I hope you can keep up that level of enthusiasm for the rest of the show.
That hurt my throat like you wouldn't believe. Well, of course, you hear we got Proulx on the line. It is me, Proulx, and we have KooshMoose with us. How you doing, KooshMoose?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Fantastic. It is the end of February. This is the last show that's going out before the month closes. And so we brought Koosh because of the Game of the Month, the Z2Z Community Game of the Month, Teslagrad. It was your brainchild in pestering people in the forums to start this game and play it. And so you get the honors of talking about it with us, as well as other things on the show. It's going to be fantastic. I missed last week, and I apparently the entire podcast turned into a culinary treat. Before we go anywhere, is there any food-related things that need to happen? Because I said no food, but I mean, if something is I do have one comment that's food-related. We went to dinner tonight with my family and sister-in-law, brother-in-law, stuff like that. And my son's super picky when it comes to food. He always gets buttered noodles or mac and cheese if they have it. But this place doesn't have mac and cheese, so they had buttered noodles. And so when I got the bill, and I just kind of did a glance over, the shorthand for what he ordered said butt noodles. My son ordered butt noodles for, I said, I'm not sure you're going to sell a lot of food like that. All right. Anyway, let's get started with the game mashup. I've already missed a week, so everything is completely off the rails as far as that goes, but I didn't forget about it. So we're going to do game mashup number week 13 here on episode 115, and let's catch everybody up with what week 12's, even though it was, 3 weeks ago, what week 12's was. I think you got this, or did you? Maybe you didn't get this one, Proulx, but here we go. It is where you take two games, mash them together through the common word in between. Week 12's clue. A perfect adaptation of these interlocking blocks. The character customization of these goofy combatants fits perfectly with the zany humor of the series. Hosting a collection of your favorite caped crusaders and his arch nemesis, collection of wannabes. You can pick sides and rumble over this titular town. Did you guys come up with that one? I mean, there's a lot of clues in there about what it's related to.
I don't think I have it, but maybe I've got half of it.
Okay.
Lego City Undercover?
No, but you're getting closer.
I have no idea. I am actually out of ideas for what this could be. So,
favorite caped crusader, of course, is Batman.
Sure.
And then it's his the nemesis, the wannabes. It's a rumble between those. It is Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham City Imposters.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. I feel like that's cheating. I feel like you're
cheating.
I feel like because they're both Batman games. You can't. That's not a mashup. That is like a crossover. At best,
but Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham is a game. It's actually mostly in space, too. And then Gotham City Imposters is not even really a Batman game, to be honest.
Well, okay. I think you pushed a little too hard on this one, Frame. I think this isn't. It's not clever. You're crossing a Batman game with a Batman game. That's not.
Well, this is random.org telling me what the titles are. So I find one, like if I just do a search and it says, all right, match up Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham. Hey, I know a game that starts with Gotham. And so
I think you could do better. You've done better in the past. This is, we've been off for 3 weeks. Freem, you're going to come back with this nonsense? Come on.
No, that was the answer to last week's. This is the new one, week 13. Right. Ready?
Let's hear it.
Notch another tally on this long-running hunting series. Set in a pixelated version of US and Canada, this entry has you shift from low-resolution pixels, Atari-like, to better defined 8-bit detail or the pinnacle of 32-bit graphics. The most satisfying moment is when you get your target and watch it explode in a D-resolution firework display. So that is a game mashup there. Good luck on that one. Send me a private message in Discord. You can come visit us, discord.io/Z2Z, if you're curious about what we do in the community. A great place to come chat with us. And that's, Big Al's going to tell you otherwise, but that's where I hang out most of the time. But I had a ridiculous week this week, and so it's great to be talking video games because I feel like I've been away from video games for so long. So let me hear about the video games that you guys have been playing. We'll start with KooshMoose. What have you been up to most recently? What's been on your docket?
Well, I think we do.
we do a fair amount of gaming.
We do, yeah. We do a fair amount of gaming with our nightly or weekly, I should say, boosts. So we've got Diablo on Monday. We've got some Battleborn on Wednesday, and we've got our Plants vs. Zombies, which we skipped this week on Thursdays.
Yep. And I ended up skipping Diablo 2 this week, just with how busy everything's been. It's been a tough week. But you've been going nuts on Battleborn. Crazy.
Yeah, the Battleborn boost was just taking forever, and we're kind of getting nowhere. And so, a bunch of us, you included, Mattism, and I'm sure the other guys who just didn't say anything about it, we're getting a little tired. So we're kind of kicking that into a little bit higher gear, trying to be a little more strategic with our playing. And I'm trying to, kind of like I did with Diablo, kind of get things prepped to maybe help the other guys kind of just zip through the operations a little faster. So I've been grinding those. 3 out of 5 are done. Kind of working on the last 2 now. And hopefully we can just kind of, do a little Sherpa duty and get through it.
I didn't realize how much, when you really get down and look at those lore challenges, how much of that can be done by yourself.
Yeah. Well, when they added that not too long ago, when they added the ability to do the private matches, that really kind of made that a lot easier. I remember earlier on, before we kind of got the group together, I was checking out the Battleborn. I did a couple of the TA sessions, and they were involved. And this was even after they made them easier, but they were involved. But adding this private is making that easy. So
absolutely.
But so I've been putting a lot of time into that, and then in the meantime, I'm working with my bud CS Geek Squad, and we're trying to stay alive in G-Task for another week or two, so it's not completely embarrassing. So I've just been grabbing a little bit of Gamerscore here and there. Finished a couple easy games like was that Street Fighter game? Was it Street Fighter?
No, which one? King of Fighters?
Virtua Fighter?
Virtua Fighter, thank you. Virtua Fighter 5.
Before Games Pass.
Exactly. Yeah, 2 birds, 1 stone. So, finished that one pretty quickly. And then also did Streets of Rage, the compilation. Just got that done. That kind of kept us alive, or made it a little easier to stay alive last week.
It's funny because it's still pretty easy to stay alive, but if you're not paying attention, it kind of sneaks up on you.
If you sleep, they'll get you.
You look at Tuesday and you're like, I should be okay. And then all of a sudden, Wednesday morning comes around, you're like, gosh, that was a lot closer than it should have been. That was ill-advised.
That's me, though.
Have you been doing the bonuses?
Well, a little bit. Not the ones that take a lot of effort.
How about this week's, where you unlock an achievement with the word achievement in it?
Yes,
or trophy or whatever.
Well, that mine for that is really easy because I haven't gone too far into MCC, Master Chief Collection. Yeah, so the one for that is ridiculously easy. So the only way I can miss that is if I forget. Pull a tortoise in the hair and just kind of screw it up at the very end. But maybe I'll do that later tonight, so I don't do that.
Smart.
That's my plan.
Gotcha. Any achievements in particular? What did you have a win of the week? Anything that was particularly exciting?
Not gaming related, and people on Discord would probably know. But I just got a pup.
Yay!
Yeah, so, my dog of 13 years passed a couple months ago. I was kind of really bummed about that, but and it was just time. So we went out and we picked up a rescue, 8-week-old pup, black lab, and something else. And we're just kind of breaking him in. This is day 2. So we brought him home. We brought him home last night, and tonight's second night. Still doesn't have a name. We're working on that. I'm trying to squeeze something in that's gaming related. My last dog's name was Ridley from Metroid.
Oh,
Sure.
I like that.
Yep,
I like
and
that.
not many people knew about it, so we're trying to find something that's a little subtle on the DL. My wife doesn't have to be completely embarrassed about.
I was going to say, are you coming up with a list? Is your wife coming up with a list? Are you going to try to powwow together? What's the approach here?
We have we're kind of geeky. We have a Dropbox document that we're keeping updated throughout the workday. I can see that she updates
That's
it. I
awesome.
go update it, and then we make jokes about it on Messenger. So
Nice.
You and I, Koosh, now are officially Black Lab.
Black
buds.
Lab buddies.
Yeah, congratulations. I know how that is very, very recently. So it's very exciting and also a lot of work.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm loving it.
Tons of work. So we had some friends over. One of the reasons I couldn't get together last weekend because it was my wife's birthday, just like it was your birthday, Proulx. And so it was her 40th. And so we had to do big things for her. And so I planned a night with her friends, a night with her family. So I was pretty much booked all weekend. And one of my wife's friends just got a brand new Chihuahua puppy. And she loves she goes to school and there's like this Mexican family that had a bunch of Chihuahuas. They just had a litter. And she went in and grabbed one of these. And this thing, I mean, like, no lie, it's the size of like a hamburger. Like, it is so little. It fits in the palm of your hand. They let it leave at 6 weeks. Like, it wasn't even weaned off the mother when, and my friend was like, I feel like I should have gotten a rescue dog. And my wife's like, I think you did rescue this dog. Like, these people were crazy. They were feeding it soup instead of like mother's milk. I don't know. It was weird. But anyway, like, the tiniest little thing, I mean, it was unbelievable how small these things were. Now, Koosh, I got a question for you. If it's too personal, you don't have to answer it. But did you know you were going to get another dog when your first dog passed? Like, were you guys saying that we need to have a dog in the house, or were you kind of saying, I don't know if I could do that again? Or
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, we sort of saw it coming. He had kind of a degenerative type issues. His back legs were really weak, so he was he was doing like the back end hop to get around stuff, and I was carrying him up and down the stairs and to go bathroom, for the last couple months. It was rough. We knew it was coming, and it was still pretty bad. But he also had an issue where he wasn't comfortable in car rides. So you get him in the car and he just freaks out. He pants everywhere. Right. It's practically raining in the car anytime he goes for a ride. So we got a vet that would come to the house and kind of check him out the last couple of times. And she actually came over and did what she had to do. So it was really rough. And I knew that I wanted another dog, but it was hard enough just talking about him, much less thinking about another dog. So it took 3 or 4 months. Sure. To the point where it was like, I'm ready. And so we kind of hopped on it pretty quickly after a couple weeks. But yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, because like I'm in the boat now. My dog is 12, and we just did like major eye surgery, like $3,500 of eye surgery on him, so he can see now because he's in good health otherwise. But it's like, if something like that comes around again, it's going to be a lot harder to justify spending that type of money.
Yeah.
But I look at it and it's like I feel like my dog is amazing, and I'm not sure I could get another one. My wife and I are both like, I don't know if we want to do that, but like everybody I know who's lost a pet has got another pet because they're like, I don't know, the house just feels so empty, or you got all, I don't know. Anyway, super depressing talking about dead animals, but we do have new pups, which is great.
Yes.
Love dogs. Awesome. Well, Proulx, how about you pull us back into gaming and give us what you've been up to this week, and maybe a win of the week.
Yeah, I could do that. It's interesting because I've kind of narrowed my focus gaming wise. Earlier on in the month, it tends to happen obviously later on in the month because when the first of the month hits, we get our brand new RTDL lists. So I'm just
exciting.
It's shotgun scattershot all over the place. Pick up this random game, this random game, this random game. I'm getting to the point now where I've kind of been focusing on certain things. I think I mentioned last week that I started Night at the Museum, whatever, some old, not great 360 game, but I finished that and then started and completed another old, not fantastic 360 game, which was Ben 10 something or other. Some bad guy attacks the good guys. So I actually just beat that tonight, and I think I started it 2 days ago. So those two are done, complete, and 2 discs off my shelf, which is fantastic. I can get them off the bookcase and into storage because I don't need them anymore. So that's fantastic. Other than that, I've narrowed down what I want to do for random to-do list to 1 game at this point.
Like that's all that's left that you want to do?
No,
or that you
but
conceivably can do.
Not even that either. What I decided was I had like 10, 11, 12 games left. And one of them was, I would say, an achievement about halfway through the game, Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
And I decided, I played the game through once when it first came out, and I beat it and missed all the missables and all that sort of stuff. No DLC because I played it right away. What I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to replay the game, get all the things I missed, and play all the DLC, as well as this random to-do list achievement, which is about halfway through the game, and get my second playthrough done and complete the game. That's my goal now.
Yeah.
So it's motivating me to go back and finish up this fantastic game, which I loved at the time.
Yeah, it's not. I thought it was like universally considered the worst Dragon
Age. It is the worst Dragon Age game by far. I would contend by far. I think the other two you might have some arguments either way, one in favor of the other side, but it's still a solid action game. It's a solid RPG. You're right. Maybe I was a little.
I mean, I totally agree with your standpoint of like get it done, right? So you stop showing up on your lists and. You're tied in with the narrative. Like, I get that 100%.
This is exactly what I like random RTDL for. This is motivating me to go back to a game. It's not a game. It's tough because sometimes you'll get a game like this on your list that has complete the game and side with the Templars every single time.
Yeah,
and it's like. Most times you're not going to do that just for the RTDL for that month.
Right.
But I'm going to I think I'm going to push aside the rest of my random to do stuff because I did a good chunk. I did I think 12 or 13 already, and I have a whole week and a half. If I can get to the midpoint of Dragon Age 2 by the end of this month, still get this one achievement to count for this month, and then finish it in March.
And who knows? Maybe it'll show up in March.
And it could. It's unlikely because most of what I don't have done is the DLC. But yeah, that would be great.
Oh, okay.
That would be fantastic. This is what I like to use random to-do lists for. Unlike a lot of other people, both on the show and in the community, I'm a principled man when it comes to random to-do list.
Here we go now.
I don't spout about the purity of the contest and about how all these people that tailor their lists are dirty and all this nonsense and then turn around and do the same thing. I have never touched my list, and I will never touch my list. My list is my list, and it is what it is. So anyways, I've been playing a lot of Dragon Age 2, I guess is what I'm saying, and I'm not getting a lot of initial return on investment of that game time because I did all the early stuff, first time through.
That's frustrating when you're playing a game and you've already done a ton of it.
Yep.
It's like, God, I know achievements should be popping right now, but they're not.
It's so funny because I think I have like 750 Gamerscore out of the 1,300 or 1,400, whatever is available. But of course, I'm not going to see any of that until the back half of it. And that's not a small game. It's going to take me 30 hours minimum, much more most likely.
Were you an achievement hunter the first time you played the game, or did your playstyle change?
I was less interested. I was still interested in achievements, but I was less interested. And I played it at launch. So it's not like you have all of that information available to you. You know what I mean? I was more just going into it as a Dragon Age fan at the time.
Right.
And I did fairly well, but there are achievements you just can't get. You have to do different play styles in order to get it. So so that's so mostly I'm working on one achievement game right now, one RTDL, and that's it. And then of course just random boosts that I've been doing, including Halo Master Chief Collection. And you asked Koosh about his G-Task
achievement
bonus achievement, which I got mine as well.
Same game?
No, because I already had that one. It was You Don't Know Jack, and it was the easiest achievement that you could possibly get because it's an idle achievement. You have to get it's called the sympathy. It's not sympathy achievement or pity achievement, something like that. And you get it for not getting an achievement for 5 hours of playtime. So I just started the game up, paused it, and went to sleep. And then I got my achievement.
Nice.
And that is what I've been playing.
Fun.
Nice. So it works through the menus, or you actually had to have games just kind of cycling in the background?
So you start one of the games, I guess, one of the the questions, and then you pause it as soon as they ask you a question. And as long as your controller doesn't idle out, you can press start on a wired controller. And it still ticks. So easy peasy.
Nice.
Yep.
So what's your win of the week? Do you have one?
God. I mean,
anything worthwhile?
I beat Ben 10 in a day and a half. I guess would be my win of the week.
Just
I don't know.
Trying to get the new one.
Yeah, no.
Wait, there's a new Ben 10 coming out?
There's a new Ben 10. There's an Xbox One, and it's on. I think it's on sale at Amazon for like $18, $15.
Well, the brand new game for $18.
Well, it's a couple months old now, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one I just played was the first one, so I think I have like 4 or 5 before I get to the new ones. But I'm not so sure I'm so motivated to get the completion on the Ben 10 games, but we'll see, I suppose.
Ben 1 and done.
I got that Rise of Hex one when it like accidentally went free for about 2 hours. Do you guys remember that at all?
No, this is before my time, I think.
Yeah, it was back on the 360, and it was like there's a pricing error, and like all of a sudden Store Parser came up and was like, Rise of Hex, $0. And I was like, what the? And I went, downloaded it, and then literally 2 hours later, they had delisted it, and then it came back at normal price about 2 days later. So I don't know how many people got on top of that, but so
wait, is Ben 10 still a thing that they're coming out with new games?
No, well, I don't. Yeah, I mean it's an ongoing show.
Oh, I didn't. I had no idea. I didn't even know what it was about.
I don't know if they're coming out with new shows, but
well, Koosh just said there's a fairly new game, at least a few months old, so they must be still doing something with it. I guess I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a popular enough franchise. I don't know if they're making new cartoons or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any of you Ben 10 fans out in the audience, let us know. I guess that brings it to me. So let's, I've been out 2 weeks, but I really haven't had a ton of gaming. Certainly not a lot of varied gaming because of just our normal, my normal everyday boosts and stuff. So let's hit on some of the highlights of what I actually did do. I have been curating my list, and I populated it with half games that I want to finish. So kind of end of game, things that I've got like 60% or more of the achievements, and I just should finish those up. And the other half is the shortest completions possible. And so I'm just going to try to just get those things off of my, get rid of them off my hard drive, and hopefully, in theory, start plowing through these games and getting some completions under my belt. And so I got a nice mix on my random to-do list. One of those games was Armacrog. Okay, that was one of the Kickstarter claymation game, And it says there's a bunch of missables, so I just used a guide for the whole thing. It is relatively short. It took me about 2 hours. It is not a great game. I mean,
Oh no.
I did not enjoy the humor. I did not enjoy the voice acting. I mean, and there's some like decent voice actors in this thing. Like if you ended up looking at like it's got like John Hader and Rob Paulson. He's a well-known voice actor. It's got I just had the Wikipedia up, but anyway, it was like, so there's like some good talent behind this, and I assume it's because the Kickstarter was actually pretty successful. Game ended up being not good, and it was really short, and it's one of those like classic point-and-click puzzle games, kind of in the vein of like, like Space Quest or King's Quest, those old Sierra games. Very similar to that, but not as clever, right? It was just like, oh, go find a lever, and then, if you find a slot to put the lever in, there you go. You never had to do anything creative, like, oh, you got to take the lever and then manipulate it so it breaks, and then use half here and do this, and none of that. Very simple, just kind of find one thing, go put it somewhere. And the mechanics weren't great. Anyway, did not enjoy it, but it was a super easy completion. And my random to-do list item for that was essentially 85% through the game. And so I was like, okay, well, just do this start to finish. Bam, knock that thing out. So that was a nice completion for the month. And then I did some Grim Legends, another Artifex Mundi game. And that, I had 2 random to-do list achievements in that one, both end of game related. So I was already, 40% through the game. So I was like, all right, let's just rip through this thing. Got almost completely done with the story. The one I needed was to finish all the hidden object puzzles. And so that technically there's like 2 other, game-related puzzles to do to finish that half. But then I still have to do the Dominoes playthrough anyway. So I was like, I'll just leave it, get my 2 random to-do lists, and get out of here. We did our first, this was the day after Valentine's Day, the first Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare session on the Xbox One. Of course, we skipped last night, but the first week, man, I got 9 achievements. I made tons of progress on that. We were just kind of messing around doing Koosh, what did we spend most of our time doing? Because we didn't get the taco stuff. Oh, Gnome Bomb. We got Gnome Bomb out of the way and Suburbanation. Those is where we spent most of our time. And then we just kind of set up some other things, like, if you needed sticky kills or double ZPGs or whatever. Plenty of that to go around. It turns out I didn't really do a lot with the skip stars or the challenges and things. So, but I think as a group, most of us are collectively much further through that game than we were on the 360 version, and so I don't expect this boost to take as long. So if you're listening to the show and are interested, don't wait on this one, because we'll probably end up finishing this one version relatively quick, and then we get to move on to something totally different.
Woohoo!
The last couple things I want to mention are, so last week the goal of the GTASC bonus was to get an odd Gamerscore, right, to unlock an achievement that was not a 5 or a 0. And so the easiest one for me was Save the Ninja Clan. I downloaded that, and it was like, I just had to beat the first level or whatever. I was just messing around with it a little bit. I ended up getting 2 achievements for 66 Gamerscore. But it also satisfied I needed an S for Spazpol for the month. So it was great. I got the S, I got 2, my odd achievement, so I got the bonus. Well, it turns out that 66 points actually evened up my score. So now I end in a 0 completely by accident, which is great. Now I don't, now I can live my life feeling complete, and when I hit 200,000 on the nose, won't be as difficult to maneuver. The other one I did was today for the achievement. It's funny because I look at this game in the game Organic Panic. Okay, again, using for the gamer tag Spazpol. I need the O, so Organic Panic's perfect. And this is one of those. This was released when a bunch of those achievements for indie games are coming out at 0 pointers. and then the rest of the list would have normal scores up to 1,000, but you'd have like a handful or multiple 0-point game. Well, this is a 0 Gamerscore one. I ended up drowning 20 dudes. But the name of the achievement is Drown Achievement, right? And each achievement in Organic Panic says achievement after it. It's like if you went to the ATM machine, right? It's like, well, no. ATM stands for automatic teller machine. You don't say ATM machine. This is what this is. Organic Panic is Drown Achievement. It's like they're just redundant for no reason. But something tells me that this wasn't done on purpose, that they just didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like a localization issue to me, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not, it's fine. Anyway, so I got that, a nice quick one there. And then the other main thing I've been playing, was the game of the month, Teslagrad. So I've done 2 streams. Again, I'm working on Sunday night streams. So if you hear this, whatever that Sunday ends up being, so this upcoming Sunday after the show airs will be my first foray into Manual Samuel. And you can watch me, bumble my way through that game for the first time. So I did 2 streams, and a lot of people in the first one. That was great. That was super fun. I just ripped through the game as best I could, played for about 90 minutes, and made some decent progress. I ended up getting like 4 achievements, I think. Which have we decided what those are? Are those scrolls? Are those batteries? Are they both? What are we calling those things?
I've been calling them scrolls, and since they show up in your book as like little pictures, I'm going to assume that they're paper related and not so much battery, unless it happens
there's that
to be a
little
memory
lightning
card.
bolt on there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Those are the achievements. So I ended up collecting 4 of those. And so then last week, I did get 5 of those, but I'm pretty sure I only actually successfully completed like 3 puzzles because I got stuck on, and Big L was there cheering me on the whole time. You can catch all this stuff on YouTube. I uploaded them into the YouTube videos. But I got stuck in the ballroom, and I got stuck doing the vertical climb where the protective father scroll is. I literally spent an hour doing both of those things because it was they're difficult, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here later. But I want to say what my win of the week was, and it was my birthday was at the beginning of the month, right? Super Bowl Sunday, and we everything is finally culminated into a collection of gift cards and GameStop having a bonus trade-in if you give in 3 or more games. And so I purged my backlog. I ended up selling about 15 games, got $100 there, a few $100 gift cards, and I am now the proud owner of an Xbox One X. So I have my One X upstairs. I have my base original Xbox One, launch Xbox One downstairs, and it is amazing. I'm now a 2-console house. This is the first time I've actually had 2 consoles at one time, so the world of idle boosting double boxing is opened up to me. I'm still going through tons of headaches trying to get the right video options on the one. It took me forever to desync my Elite controller because the 2 boxes are 1 floor apart but in the exact same location on both floors. And so when I would turn on my Elite, pointing it right at my One X, it would turn on my one in the basement. And I was like, oh, God, would you stop doing that? And so, I just literally unplugged the thing. I just said, you have no power anymore. So this thing will just sit and blink forever because there's no power here. But trying to get my TV to find it and make sure that HDR was set up and make sure – I'm not even sure I still have HDR set up or not. But I will say my picture is amazing. Those 4K patches and things. Oh, so good.
There's a handy dandy little video. I don't know if you found it in the settings, a little video review that the Xbox does for you. And it will actually tell you exactly if you're hitting 100% of what the X can output at. I actually learned because I bought a 4K TV for my Xbox One X, and even by default, my 4K TV wasn't displaying the way it was. I wasn't getting the HDR out of it. So that's where I learned that I needed to change some settings on my TV. So I would definitely use that if you haven't done that yet.
I did. I mean, I did do most of that, and I think I've got the TV settings right. I think my biggest issue now is that my cable is not going to give me enough throughput to get the video quality I need. So when it tries to do an HDR image, it can't convey enough, and so it goes black screen on me. That's my guess, but I don't quite know just yet. And that's fine. I'll figure it out. I got plenty of time. I literally just picked it up on Wednesday, so not a super big concern. We'll get this thing figured out. So other than that, I think it's time we moved into our main focus of this show, the Game of the Month Roundup. Let's talk Teslagrad. Koosh, I want to start with how long ago did you end up playing this game? Was this a launch for you? Has it been ages? Because you are a big Metroidvania fan.
Yes, I'm a big Metroidvania fan, but that doesn't necessarily mean I've played them all. I just really enjoy them.
In this case, I contend this is not a Metroidvania. I could see at the onset where you would think it would be, but I can't consider this thing a Metroidvania.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about what is a Metroidvania and why is this one not a Metroidvania. And
where do you fall?
I feel that it has... Okay, so you've got Rogue and you've got Roguelite. And I think we had talked about this on Discord. If ever there was a game that fits the category of Metroidvania light, it's this one. Because it's not so heavy on combat. There's a couple combat points, but for the most part, it's about puzzle solving, exploration, and getting powers that allow you to complete these puzzles or go faster through puzzles you've already completed.
Yes.
So in that way, it's kind of in the spirit of a Metroidvania, but it may not be to the letter of what most people think when they think Metroidvania.
I agree. I think in my mind, a Metroidvania has significantly more backtracking. Like you've got to go to this area, then back to this area, and now that you have this power, you can get that item, or this really doesn't fit that so much.
Just wait. You haven't hit the end of the game yet. Trust me, you will. If you're wanting for backtracking, there will be some towards the end of the game. At least if you want all the achievements. But I get what you're saying, and I actually agree with the Metroidvania light is kind of exactly what I would call it. It seems to fit super appropriately for this game. Just enough of those elements to definitely be considered part of that genre, but it's way less heavy on it than all of those other titles that you think of when that name comes into your head.
Right. So back to the original question, Koos. When did this thing pop on your radar?
So I'm a sucker for indie games, as most people know if they've seen me or talked in Discord. I just kind of love indie games.
Yeah, and paying full price.
And if it's not full price, it's crap. So I love indie games. I love stylish games. I love games that kind of break the mold. Doesn't mean I'm going to play them, but it sure as heck means I'm going to buy them. Because I guess I'm rewarding the developer, and I kind of want to see.
Well, I can't disagree with that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're willing to push boundaries or be innovative or do some interesting things, reward that for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a joke that I pay full price, but it's also got a little bit of truth to it. But this one I picked up. Looks like the first achievement I got was July 16th, July of 2016.
There you go.
Yeah, and I grabbed
when
one.
I didn't even look. When was the game released?
Let's see. I'm looking it up here. March 2016.
Okay, so 3 months later.
So not long after. I guess I waited for a sale. Let's say I waited for a sale, and then I picked it up. It was probably only a 15%er or a 20%er, but I picked it up. I got one achievement in it, and I said this game is special, and I will play it eventually. And then I think, what made me come back this? I think it was the RTDL. I think I had.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I had an RTDL to go in and get it, and I started playing the game, and I said, why did I ever put this down? Why didn't I push the other crap games I'm playing aside and just kind of stick with this one? And then I just kind of destroyed it. I finished it in January, and over the period of, 3 days? Yeah.
Wow, that's not so bad. That's not so bad.
3 or 4
well,
days.
and then, of course, that month it went on sale in January, and you convinced everybody to buy it.
Yes.
I mean, how many people do you think actually did buy it from the community? I know a few for sure, but like we already had it, Proulx and I.
Yeah, I would say at least 5.
Yeah.
I would think just kind of going based off of people that have been talking around about it.
The chitter chatter.
I'd say close to 5.
No, I didn't have it beforehand. I bought it because of it.
Okay, well, so 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
6 or so. Right?
You know, we got a review code for that back in the day.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I know that.
I am so happy you supported the developer, though. That's really great.
I prefer to just
And the developers Rain Games. They have another game out which I wanted to play but never got around to it because of other things. World to the West, which looks pretty much the same art style, different game type totally.
Dramatically different.
Yeah, it's more like a Zelda overworld type. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Interesting.
And then
it's a lot like A Link to the Past.
Yes, and they have a third game in development right now. So I just started following them as a result of all this hoo-ha going on this month. So I started following them, and they just released information about a third game that they're currently working on that doesn't really seem that interesting, but I'm going to give it a shot. I like their art style a whole lot.
Wonderful. Well, let's talk Teslagrad. Just in terms of maybe, I guess we can start with the story. Again, I haven't finished it yet.
Well, that'll be a very quick start.
And that's kind of why I want to do it, is because to me, like, the story's fine, right? It's a cute little tale, warring cities, or I guess one city conflicted with civil war. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting from, because really the only way to get the story is as you progress, you watch the little videos in the cinema rooms, right? Is that or you read the text on the battery scrolls, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, it's interesting because you go to these theater rooms in the tower. I don't know. I mean, God, there's just so much of this.
Tower.
It is a tower, but I mean, there's so much about this game that's like undefined or defined by the player that it's tough to work into how the story works. You go into these rooms in the game, and you can watch these marionette puppet shows of presumably a linear story, but to me it came off kind of unclear exactly how things. I mean, I guess there was a bad guy and he got hold of this thing and then betrayed the other people. I don't know. It seemed that story was definitely secondary in the minds of the developers and is more background for the game than primary motivation.
Well, I mean, I agree with the background, but I think you can have a relatively well-defined background story. I don't think it's necessarily conveyed the best, but I mean, the idea is that you're dealing with magnetism, right? And so the polarity, the opposites of this nation that is so focused on electromagnetism. You've got the positive charge, the negative charge. The positive charge being the blue, where that is we're going to use this power for good, for peace, for protection. And then the red side, the bad side, corrupts this king. He thinks, I'm so powerful, I can go wage war with all these other countries. Let's go march out there and take everyone out. And the blue guy's like, dude, no. Like, that's not how we do things. And red guy's like, screw you, man. I'm going out there. Let's go fighting. And then literally his army gets completely wiped out. And he's like, well, thanks a lot, jerk. Now I'm going to kill you because you didn't help me out. And that's when the Civil War kind of breaks and red guy takes over the whole thing. How am I doing so far up to the point where I am in the game? Because presumably there's at least 1 or 2 more videos I haven't seen yet, or marionette shows. I assume you get some sort of closure when you beat the boss. Is that a fair assumption, or am I overreaching?
First off, let me just say how stupid I feel. Because as you're mentioning the opposing sides, it just dawned on me, red and blue. The entire time you're dealing with polarity and opposites, and then of course you've got these 2 kingdoms And actually, I feel like they're one kingdom. I feel like
one kingdom.
Yeah, it's like the king, and then his subject, his science division, what have you.
Yeah, his Merlin type character.
Exactly.
Gandalf. Yep, exactly.
And there's a big rift, and they just don't put up enough of a fight, and then he just kind of takes the power for himself, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, as you'll find out later, I think. But yeah, it's not a whole lot of story, and not a whole lot of payoff, I think. Most of it's the experience, solving the puzzles, traversing, just kind of enjoying the mechanics, or or the relief from not having to do that any longer with certain rooms. But yeah, the thing I like about the storytelling, if you will, is that it's not narrated. There's practically no vocals. I think some of the music actually has vocals in it, but as far as the story, there's no vocals. There's no real text to read. Everything is, pictograph. And if you, as you're running through, actually, as you start the game, you're introduced to the mechanics through drawings, and those drawings are on the walls. And as you keep progressing through farther and farther through the story, you'll get more of the story the more attention you pay to the background. So like the tree room, for instance, has a whole bunch more going on. There's that statue in the bottom right-hand corner of the tree area.
Isn't that like his mom's grave? Is that what I envision that to be? Or
spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you. I'm going to say no.
I actually didn't know. I hadn't heard that.
Yes,
so.
I'm not exactly sure who she is. I don't believe it's his mother.
Okay.
But yeah. As you go through, you sort of gain more and more of the story. The thing that I'm really interested in, and hearing Proulx's take on this, is the bearded guy. Who is he, and why does he have a change of heart? Like, do you have any idea?
I honestly, like, about halfway through that game, I just even stopped watching the theater room stuff. Like, it was cool and interesting for a while, but then I'm like, I don't really know what's going on here. They're not giving me enough context for why all this stuff is happening to kind of care. I'm struggling to remember the bearded guy.
I believe
he's the dude that you beat in a couple of those rooms and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he's the guy chasing you in the beginning of the game.
Yes.
He comes back later on. Yeah. So at first I thought he was just a generic bad guy.
Right.
Yes, I see what you're saying with the change of heart. I don't know. There's just not enough context to realize.
Is he your dad? You're that guy who drops you off at the house 17 years ago or whatever?
Don't want to spoil that. I think not. I think the reason I'm talking about a change of heart is, yes, you see him. He's the guy who's chasing you. He's the last guy that's chasing you, and you kind of escape onto the bridge. And then he's kind of left behind. Then as you're progressing into the castle, you see him running along the outer parapets as you're going into the castle. Then when you're in that first room with the stained glass, you can see him behind the stained glass, kind of walking behind the stained glass windows. And he's in one of the marionette rooms, I think, right after you defeat him.
You send him down after his little torture room.
Yeah,
or whatever.
And then he's hanging out up in the upper balcony while you're watching this thing, and he's kind of in that room while you're doing that. And then you'll see him again later on in the game as well. So I was kind of like, is this guy somehow related to this kid? Is he just taking pity? Does he want to see change? I'm not really sure. And is that going too deep into the story that's not there? Maybe. But he's definitely there, and he's on the outskirts, and he's on the fringe for so long. What's really going on there? And I just wanted to get someone else's take on that.
Do you have a theory?
I have absolutely no theory. I just thought that, he kind of seen. Imagine this guy. He's sort of seen the king and kind of go mad and just oppress all his people. As you're running through the town, initially there's that scale, and on one side of the scale is the king in his throne, and on the other side are all these people, these bodies kind of piled up. So that just lets you know kind of how he's treating his subjects. I sort of feel like at first this guy's just kind of going with the king because he kind of that's just the way it is.
He feels duty bound.
Exactly. But then he sort of sees this young kid who gets the power of I think Tesla mages. I think they call them something specific in World to the West to kind of give a name to it.
I believe Tesla mages is correct.
Technomancer or Teslamancer.
They're in the same universe.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That makes me more interested in the other game. I'd like to maybe learn more.
Yeah.
But okay,
so I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, so I'm thinking maybe this guy sees, well, maybe there is something going on here. Maybe there is a way to kind of replace this king and, and end this. And I think that he kind of makes his decision later in the game. So I sort of feel like it's kind of a Darth Vader spoiler. It's kind of like a Darth Vader turns moment.
This is full spoiler, this whole podcast. So probably should have put that at the beginning of the show, but I think it was very clear that we're going to do spoiler on Tesla.
Oh, I was talking about Star Wars, but...
Oh, yeah.
I think we're okay on that one.
So you had mentioned before, and what I think is where this game totally shines is the puzzles. The solving the puzzles, the different... I mean, they're effectively all physics-based puzzles. Sometimes you can extend that to maybe logic, I don't know, but really it's the physics of being able to manipulate the polarity, the magnetism, the electricity, kind of all those different aspects together. They start off pretty simple, but really when you don't have the tools, you can't do a lot with it. So you have to get kind of creative with how the environment lets you find items to give you maybe a brief moment of polarity, or there's some object there that you can trigger that sets something else in motion. And then they kind of build as you get the items. You get your dash boots, you get your cloak that you can actually turn on and off. Is that all the items? Are you done after the cloak?
No, you'll get another item.
Oh, you get a gun. Right?
Yeah, kind of like Tesla rod, basically. But yeah, essentially allows you
basically
to
just it's the same ability as your punch, except you can do it at range.
Yeah.
At that point.
Line of sight.
So.
Okay. So there you go. And so as they get more complex with the tools you have on you, the puzzles get more and more complex to the point of maddening sometimes. I think collectively the community has decided that there's maybe 5 really just pain in the butt sections. What would you say is the most frustrating puzzle that you encountered?
Well,
you can go with both of you guys.
Yeah, for me it's a toss-up. I would say there's one room, and Freem ends one of his streams just after this room. There's a large ball. And you kind of have to move it out of the way so you can get to a platform that it's resting on. And if you want to get to the scroll or what have you that's up there, you have got to move this thing first and get it out of the way and spend your time figuring out how to perform that jump. That was really frustrating. I spent maybe half an hour on that and just wasn't sure.
So that's the ballroom.
Yeah.
So you had troubles getting the scroll, or just getting up the levitating that ball to get past the room?
Well, one of the things I love about this game is that it teaches you, as you're progressing through it, you run into something, and the first time you see it, you're like, oh gosh, I just can't do this. I must have to backtrack. Eventually, you figure out this game is linear with shortcuts back because of this central column. So you pretty much realize, oh, the next room is the next room. I have everything I need to progress through this room. I just need to figure it out. And that took me a while to figure out. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I don't have to backtrack and get this ability. I didn't miss this room over here. I don't have to go back and get that. I can solve this room somehow. So I just kind of keep going at it. And that room in particular was, okay, how do I get that ball out of there consistently? How do I get up around this thing? And so just the joy was like, okay, yes, now I figured out how I can do this every single time. I jump up, I punch the block, it pulls the ball out. I then kind of hover on that block, wiggle right, wiggle left, I slip up around it, and then I do what I've been calling a dash jump boost, or a boost jump dash, which is you switch polarity and you jump pretty much at the same time and you dash immediately after, and you can kind of get around and up and get that scroll. And you need that in one particular room to kind of get to progress through the room, but then you also need that in a more complicated version of it 2 or 3 times to actually get the scroll that'll let you get your achievements.
Right.
But yeah, so that was kind of the joy to me, was like figuring out those tough rooms. Then you get that pain in the butt room, that everyone's been talking about. The shaft, the vertical shaft.
Yep.
We have to basically race while being repelled up, dodging and dashing in and out of electric fields, and missing some spinny things that, for whatever reason, they're there, in order to beat the scroll to the top and then dash over and get it. I did that all in one night in about a half hour's period of time. Beast Middle was sitting online. I think it was after a PVZ session, and I was just sort of sitting there. It was like 2:30, 3 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, I just got to get it. And I got it in 20, 30 minutes of doing it there. But yeah, I would say that's probably the most frustrating room. For me, the number 3 would probably be the fight at the very top of the tower. That was really frustrating. Okay. And maybe because I was tired when I was doing it, but I just didn't want to think through the solution. So I just got it done. I was like, okay, I'm done. Don't have to think about that one again. For me, that's my top 3.
Proulx, what about you? Where do you sit?
See, I really didn't struggle with the ballroom, and it was kind of interesting at the time, I knew that you were able to get to the scroll. You had to manipulate the ball to get to the scroll. And the tough part of that room, I don't think, is knowing what you have to do. It's performing it. And maybe I just got lucky and got it on my, 4th or 5th try or whatever, because it only took me about 5 minutes to get the scroll and get out of that room. I didn't have any problems with that room at all.
Wow.
It was fair. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe I just got lucky.
I probably spent 10 or 20 minutes, because I didn't know the solution, trying to levitate the ball so that it would go up to the left corner, bring it to the right corner by switching polarity, and get the trajectory just right so that it would land back on the ledge that you ejected it from, so that I could then push off of the ball to get up there. I spent 20 minutes, 30 minutes trying to do that before I figured out this jump dash.
It's funny because I think I ended up telling Elle that is like when he was in the stream with me, is that the beauty of that game is because the physics are so wonky is not the right word, but you have so much flexibility in how you can solve these puzzles that you can get lucky at one point and come up with a solution that's not necessarily the right solution, but you got results. And so ultimately you are like, well, I have to do that again. And to just recreate this really convoluted, like that room you're talking about, that ballroom, where I jumped on the block underneath and pulled the ball. If you have the polarity, then you start to drag the ball over, because I just kept it as the same. So it was attracted to me, and I brought it to the edge. And so then I decided, well, I'll just use the magnetism to get up the ball and then ride it to the top and then jump over it. And trying to it's like almost Indiana Jones, but instead of ducking under the ball, you try to jump over it. And it's it worked, and it worked 60% of the time. And so I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing that. And then all of a sudden, I think Elle mentioned or something. He's like, yeah, you can actually just go to the edge and just kind of climb right up. If you pull the ball off the edge, you can just kind of climb right up. And it's like, oh yeah. Then I was 100% of the time.
I was watching your recording after the fact, and I was just screaming at the screen, you don't have to, Freem, it's so much easier. Come on.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of that game is you can actually mess up like that and get results, and all of a sudden it's well, that must be how you do it.
Sorry, I cut you off. So
no, it's okay. For example, I thought that the in the tree room on the left side, when you have to do the jump, there are 2 opposing blue streams forming an X pattern. I thought that was a much trickier jump than the ballroom jump was. That took me a lot of more tries to get up to that upper left platform to get that scroll than the ballroom did. But that, that's just my experience. But I will say that the 2 toughest things by far in that game for me, by far, not even close, nothing even hits that level of challenge, is unless you're cheating, Koosh will, I'm sure, bring up.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It was Marky B. Mark B.
So forgive me, because I did mention. I did talk about this.
I meant to correct that, and I didn't. So yeah, Marky B found that.
I will issue a formal apology to you, Koosh. There was chatter in the Discord Teslagrad chat about this cheat the glitch where you could skip into the shaft where the scroll was. And I'll talk about that in just 1 second. Apparently, not Koosh. Marky B, dirty cheater. I wish I had known because I would have cheated the hell out of that.
Well,
and
it's not that easy, though. Like, he did it by accident.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
okay,
he was going, he's like, all right, I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to go up. And then, because I did this on my stream, too. It was like every time I got up and I felt like I wasn't going fast enough or just it wasn't right, I would go to the left and try and do the cheat. and just so you essentially warp at the wall. And sometimes because it dashes ahead of you, sometimes it registers you on the other side of the wall and you can collect the thing. And so it's exactly what I was like, well, I'll just see what I can do. And it never worked. Like I probably tried it 10, 15 times. It just kind of in passing. I didn't like actively try and do it, but it was like, I failed this run. Let's see if I can warp into the wall and then die.
Did you get that scroll?
I did not. So the one time, there were 2 times. If you watch my stream, you can see it. I made it to the very top, and the 2, like at the very end, there's those circular ones that spin, and I made it right through there, and I was like, good, okay, home free. And there's the one last thing that sticks out,
oh, no.
and that hit me, and I was like, no, and so then I ended up trying another probably 10, 15 minutes after that. I guess I don't even know. I'd have to look at the stream. And so then when I finally made it to the top, great speed, it was way up top. I was ahead of the scroll, and I pull up. I'm over at the window to go, and I dash right into the wall. My head hits the top of the entry because I went up too fast, and I passed it. And I missed it. And I was like, well, screw that. I'm just going to move on.
Oh, man.
And I'll come back to this.
I think it is by far the trickiest thing you have to do in the game, and it's the real challenge for me. I think the real challenge for the game is it's the speed at which you ascend. You want to be just going fast enough that you're going slightly faster than the scroll, which gives you enough time to react, even when you already know the pattern of what's going on above you. Gives you just enough time to react that you can comfortably deal with that. See, once I got the bottom 50% of that pattern down, I don't think I ever hit those spinny things up top. Those were fairly easy to avoid for me. It was the 2 sections underneath where basically it breaks up that shaft into thirds. Yeah. Especially when you are forced to go to the outer thirds. Yeah. When you're already maneuvering from the middle or whatever you're trying to do. That's really, really precise platforming. It was very precision. It was tough.
And they're skinny. It's a real skinny window there. And
you can't have momentum.
Right, you lose your momentum.
Yeah, you can't have momentum warping into them or anything like that, or you're going to fly way off the side. It's tricky.
For anyone having problems, it was passed around that the D-pad is a little bit easier than using the analog. And just a quick correction, it's not Marky B, it was Mark B.
Mark B.
I know he's probably screaming at the podcast. But
for the second week in a row.
And I think he actually knew about this because the Steam version of the game, because he actually mentioned, does this one still support the glitches that were in the Steam? And then he actually did it in that room, the shaft room, but then he also did the one with the ball. He posted a video, I don't know if that was him doing it, where he jumped up and he glitched through the wall, got the scroll and didn't have to do the complicated jump.
That is totally true. Yeah, I mean, as much of a pain as that little section is, I think the one thing is as you go up, that actually you go faster. If you maintain like you said, Proulx, just being a little bit above the scroll, even if you're kind of matching the speed, by the time you get to those circles, you actually end up going faster. As you go through the little pinwheel section, if that's what you want to call it, and it kind of moves through that. So that was kind of a tricky room. I haven't even finished it.
Yeah. So the other big thing for me was the final boss, and I've given this advice in the chat before, but Freem, get all your collectibles before you fight the final boss. You do not want to have to fight this guy twice. There's no reason to do he's not even that hard, but he's that cheap and that unfair where it's like if you get one good run on this final boss, you're going to be good and you'll never have to do it again. Don't make the mistake I made where I had to go back and get collectibles and fight him again, because I probably wasted 2 hours fighting the same guy, even though I knew I could do it. But it's random and kind of cheapish and frustrating. Just get all your collectibles, get all those scrolls before you fight the final boss.
Yeah. That's my plan. I mean, that's what I want to do on Sunday night, is make sure, go back, get all, and I mean, I probably won't get all of them, but I'm going to go back and just do a little bit of cleanup as I go through and make sure that I can position myself to be done, like to finish the boss and be done-ish. That's the goal. So the boss, tricky. Yeah, I mean, for me, where I'm at now, yeah, I mean, we were hitting on the same places. I think the only other one was, and it was funny to watch your stream, Proulx, when you went into that first the room where the blocks are going side to side very quickly. And
that room sucks.
Yeah,
that is a terrible room.
You don't have a clue, because this is kind of the first time you're being introduced to those bots operating the world around you. Like, when you saw those bots before, you felt like you had relative control over them, or they had to be in your line of sight pretty much to see how they're affecting the world. And they didn't affect it so globally as what was happening in that room. But when you get into that room and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, I see these blocks. Oh, there they go. All right, I should have a window here. And then all of a sudden, wham, you just get hit by a truck when that thing comes back. And you're like, okay, I'm not sure how fast I need to go here. Let me try this way. And you're just, I mean, again, the whole game is positioned around trial and error. Mm-hmm. Really, it's, you kind of bang your head a little bit and hopefully you come up with something. And if you get a little bit of success, okay, well, let me try that again. See, maybe get a little bit further. Where did I screw up? Oh, that's where I screwed up. Okay, we'll chip away at it a little bit more and see what we come up with here. I'm personally having, and it's not even that difficult, but like, and you'll see it if you watch the stream, you'll see this a bunch of times, where I'm constantly just either turning on the wrong polarity or punching instead of activating my cloak. And it's the buttons where I keep messing up. Like, I know what I need to do, and it's just telling my hands to execute on that. It's like, all you need to do is be blue. Okay, blue punch. It's like, oh no, that's not what I wanted.
It's a very trial and error game. I think the fundamentals of the game are based on the idea that you are going to go in there and you're going to mess up a few times.
Well, one of the stats they track are deaths. So, I mean, like,
yep.
And they also give you a very quick reload time. So I think they knew this going in, like, okay, let's go ahead. Let's make it kind of cheap. You die here,
yep.
and isn't it going to be fun for everyone watching, when Freem and Proulx get the boots and dash immediately into the demon dogs. Immediately.
Okay. It is not. That was a cheap shot, because it says you got your boots. Press the boot button, and then you press the boot button, and there's a cage right there where you die immediately.
I howled with laughter.
It was a cheap laugh. Is all I'm saying.
It was hilarious because if you watch the stream side by side, they're just almost identical. and I didn't realize, because I said, oh, I got eaten by a grue. I didn't even realize they were called grues because I never got the scroll called Catching the Grues or whatever. Like, there are 3 scrolls at the beginning that talk about grues, which of course is an old Zork reference,
yep.
Right? And that's where grues came from. Eaten by a grue.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and so we both ended up. You ended up saying it because you got the scroll. I ended up saying it because I got eaten by one. But yeah, and I remember on your stream when you beat the dozer, and you're like, what? No treat? Like, I don't get anything for it? And it was like literally you just had to progress like 3 more minutes, and,
go to the
and
next
you got
room. Yeah.
You got your little treat.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, this game was super fun. I've really enjoyed it so far, and it's. It's got enough like whimsy and just a kind of cuteness to it, but it's also There's certainly I appreciate going into it without seeing a guide. I have turned on a guide, so I watched the first probably 4 or 5 scrolls video. Did you see the ones I missed at the very beginning? And it was and so now I'm thinking, what's probably going to be the best is if I had a map of the rooms where the scrolls are, so I didn't have to watch a video and I could still solve how to get them, but so that I knew which scrolls were where. Because I think that would be way more fun than just saying, okay, well, that's how he did it, and I just need to do that. Because solving is really what makes this game as fun as it is.
Yeah, I would say for me, because I did use a guide I used a guide once you got to the part where you needed a certain amount of scrolls to progress. I would say that if there was a guide, a non-spoiler guide, for those people who are really concerned about that, if there was a guide that said, you're in this room, there is something in this room that you can get with the abilities you have, but that's it. Yeah. The bare minimum of information. There is something you can obtain with the abilities you have. Do not progress until you figure this out. And then for every other room, you move on as normal. That would be the ideal guide.
Well, good news, guys. In the Discord channel for Teslagrad, somebody stickied a comment. One of the solutions is a picture. It's one large image of the entire map with little circles and the number of the collectible. So you can go through at the very end when you're done or when you're ready to just go on your collectible hunt, find the ones that you're missing because they are numbered, and then look on the map. It'll tell you the room, so you'll know where you have to go to get it, and that kind of preserves the challenge. And if you want to go farther, yeah, you can look up a guide, but it's as non-spoilery as you can get once you've progressed almost to the end of the game.
Can you get them I saw that and I used it actually for a good chunk of the game, but can you get them linearly, as if you're going through for the first time? No. And that was my issue, was that I think there are a fair number of collectibles that you do kind of have to go backwards for. So if there was, the perfect guide for this game is difficult, I understand, but it would very clearly lay out, hey, you're in room 4. There is a collectible here, but you can't get it right now. Come back later. Now you're in room 7. There's a collectible here. You're absolutely capable of getting it. We're not going to show you how or whatever. I know that's tricky and hard to do, but the game isn't clear enough on those sorts of things. There's a lot of times that you will, we're talking about how does this game function as a Metroidvania. Well, Metroidvanias will often tease you with stuff that you can get, but not right now. Whereas this game is a little less on that, less emphasis on that. But there are some rooms you go into and you're like, wow, that seems weird. How can I get to that? And you just won't be able to for several rooms, which is fine. It just functions differently, but Is
that the case though? Because I feel like all the rooms that you have access to do, in fact, you are able to get that. That it isn't. You're not hamstrung by your abilities at that point. Are there things that you have to there's things that make life easier.
So after you defeat the bird boss, for instance, and you're going through the tree, you'll see the or maybe you can do that one after you get the cape. I think you get the cape right then. So you might be able to do that double blue projection to get up there to get the one that's hit by the Chozo statue. Basically, right? It's basically a Chozo statue. Right. Yep. So that one you might be able to get. But certainly when you drop down from one of the rooms, there's a scroll hidden behind a boulder. And you can't beat that boulder. You can't destroy that boulder until pretty much the end of the game. And there's a whole bunch of these scrolls that you can sort of see and you can't get to. And you'll see holes in the roof in a game. Or, I'm sorry, in a room. And you'll be like, okay, I'm on to you. I know there's something up there, and I know I can get over there somehow, or I can drop in from above later. But I would say, there's maybe 5 to 8 that are kind of hidden from you. But for the most part, the others are basically in plain view. I kind of got lucky with that first one as you first enter that castle and you get the blocks that kind of go up and down. and there's that little bit of screen at the very right edge of the screen that you don't know the screen will move if you get to it. And I was just traversing, just looking for stuff. This is before I realized, oh, you don't have to backtrack. Everything is linear. And I went into that area and got a scroll for it. And I was like, oh, what? This is awesome. This is a Metroidvania. And then not knowing, okay, no, it's a Metroidvania. Like, but at that point in time, I was like, oh, this is great. It's a Metroidvania. I love it.
Yeah, so it's the problem is with the design is either you specifically make it like we've kind of been talking about here. You specifically make it so that you do have the capabilities to get every scroll that you come across as you come across them, or you don't. And then, of course, there's a spectrum at that point. So if you make it, there's one exception to that rule. Okay, well then you're kind of weary of the rules of the game. If it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, then you never know when there's some secret door or some secret hole in the roof that you can't get through. So then you're being taught to distrust seeing the scroll. And if they were super consistent with, you see the scroll in this room, you can get to it, then that would make sense to me. Or if it was the other opposite end of the spectrum where do never trust the fact that there's a scroll in the room, you may not be able to get that until 100% through the game, that would work too. But with only a few handful of exceptions, it's tough to trust what you can see or do at that point. And then you can literally bang your head against the wall for half an hour trying to get to the scroll until you give up in frustration. So I think that was kind of where it was inconsistent for me.
Yeah.
See, I never felt that I have to get this scroll now because I can. For me, it was more realizing, okay, I can get through this room because it is linear. It's just weaving back and forth. But the scrolls, like for instance, that one room where you have the 2 robots who are frozen and they need to be powered by the little bot that drops down. You have to keep them in the back. Yep. That when I saw that one up there, I said, no frickin' way. Like I can't get to that. There's nothing here to allow me to do that. So I must get something later on. I must get like a magic ladder later. It'll get me up there. So I passed that one. So yeah, for me, it was the rooms are doable. The scrolls I can come back and get.
Yeah. I think I'm on the same boat where I really most of it actually was probably because I was streaming it, where it's like, well, no one wants me to watch me, bash my head against the wall for a while. It's like, let's just rip through the story. I know at some point, once I have all the toys, I'll get to come back and do this all later. So let's just rip through as fast as I can. If I see something that's not really that far out of the way, I'll give it a shot, maybe try a handful of times to get it. If I don't, not a big deal. I'll just move on and clean up later. That's ultimately what I'm going to be doing. And, I guess we'll see what happens on the stream Sunday if cleanup is even fun to watch. Because I don't want to beat it. I don't want to beat the game without doing all the back stuff first.
Yep. And lessons learned, watching your guys' stream has been very entertaining. I really wish that I had done that as well, because when I was watching Freem go through and Proulx go through, you guys had no problem with areas where I had issues, and then you got hung up on things where I just zipped through. It would have been really fun to compare and contrast and sort of see how everyone solves their problems differently, and
absolutely
hilarious. So I would recommend that people record that and put it up on the stream and make that part of the monthly challenge. It would really make that a lot more fun.
Oh, what a great idea. I mean, it's not hard to do.
I was thinking of that with Manuel Samuel in the upcoming month. So, get on, Mixer. You don't even have to announce that you're broadcasting. Just record your play session as an on-demand video. And then, if you guys can send it to us, we can put them all up on our YouTube channel as a collection of people who are doing this, because Manuel Samuel is not going to be much of a story game, right? Really, it's a setup, it's a premise that sets up goofy mechanics. And it'll be fun to watch people bumble their way through trying to do all the things that you need to do, and how fast can people do it. And, I think that's going to be what's especially entertaining.
Especially if you record your own voice, because it's going to be boring just to watch it. It'll be much fun to hear you scream and curse and throw your controller.
Agreed. So we highly encourage that. And I think, as we've been playing, we kind of see that. We see that now. And yeah, I agree, Koosh. It's been funny to watch, at least between Proulx and I, and where we do so similar runs. Anyway.
So I real quick, I just want to, since we're dissecting the game overall, and I know you haven't finished it for yet, but I think you have enough of the concept of what's going on. As an achievement game, as a game to go for, I think this is, I don't know, out of 10, maybe a 3 or a 4 for difficulty. It's not crazy. It's not impossible. You will get frustrated from time to time, but you can do it, and with a guide you can do it easier. But I think it's worth it. It's an enjoyable experience, and overall it's a good time. It's a lot of fun, and you'll remember what you enjoyed more than trying to get that stupid ball into the bottom corner or whatever you have to do.
I agree. I mean, especially with a guide, and I highly recommend not playing with a guide and figuring these things out. But as far as the achievements, you have a lot of flexibility to go back. The world isn't so large where it's overwhelming to go backtrack and get some of these scrolls, and learning the mechanics and playing with the physics is a fun and enjoyable experience. It's got some glitches. It's not perfect, but the glitches actually kind of give it some character, and just with the physics involved when you're using polarity, you kind of do some goofy things. I mean, even just the notion of the boost jump, right, where you like shift polarity and then jump, and you kind of propel yourself into the stratosphere. And it's like sometimes you look at it and you're like, how am I going to get up there? I can't possibly jump that high. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you do that, and so like where I left off on my second stream, there's that thin 1 block wide section with the red, blue boxes along the side, and you have to like cycle through so that you get sucked up, and then when you're above, you repel to get pulled to the next level. That gave me fits trying to climb that thing. And it was just because the physics are so wonky.
Yeah,
and you can't really see the blocks. You're kind of like doing the timing in your head. Annoying.
Yeah.
So anyway, great. Well, I think, is there any other final things you guys want to add to that? We've got a couple other news items we should get to before we wrap up this show. We've been hitting Teslagrad pretty hard. Let's move on to probably one of the most exciting pieces of news. Half-Life 15 confirmed. Did you guys see this? Okay, fine. It's not confirmed. Final Fantasy 15 is letting you wear Gordon Freeman's armor. In another one of these weird Final Fantasy 15 crossover things, you can now get yourself to look like Gordon Freeman and walk around the world of whatever the hell Final Fantasy is in. I can't remember what the place is, but yeah, Noctis can have a Gordon Freeman costume. It looks ridiculous. Now, yep. I don't even know where to go with this, because it's like, I have to assume that Square Enix asked Valve, like, hey, can we use this? Like, this would be funny. Because it's not like Valve's making a game here, right? They just thought, hey, let's just do this. Like, we can't look too deep into this, right?
Do you know what Valve said when Square Enix asked them to use their likeness in a game?
He said, "How much are you gonna pay me?"
No, I don't even think they cared. They said, "Yeah, sure, whatever, do whatever you want. We don't care." Like, it's like the Portal Bridge Constructor stuff that's come out, right?
Yep.
Whatever, go ahead, do what you want. We're not doing anything with this. Who cares? Yeah. They don't care. They what do they care? This is silly, and it gives them only some mild publicity, and whatever. This means nothing.
Yeah. I really want Randy's take on this, and so maybe we'll have to revisit this when he's back on the show next week. But this is an Engadget article that came out in essentially. So there were one of the big movements in digital gaming right now is the fear of losing games forever, right? Losing them to the archives that once a server goes down or a game, computers age beyond, a certain point that we lose access to digital archives, and that these games are lost forever. And so there is a lot of people out there trying to preserve games. And as such, these older games, there's this issue of, okay, well, what, how can we make sure that we do a good job preserving them and still, honoring gaming as a whole? Well, the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, they're the group that does E3, and they've got members from all the big dogs, right? EA, Nintendo, Ubisoft, Microsoft, Sony, like all these people are part of the ESA, and they are they're petitioning the U.S. Copyright Office to say these old games, there's no exception for copyright infringement. Like, so you cannot just take these games and emulate them or do a ROM in the under the guise of we're creating a historical record of them, that's still copyright infringement. You're still taking a licensed property. And so specifically, there's this place in California called the Museum of Art and Digital Entertainment. And essentially they are trying to recreate like a place where you can actually go and play these old games. Things that we feel they're certainly not public domain. They're owned by these companies, but they're no longer supporting them. One of the key ones they talk here is EverQuest, right? That game is long gone. The servers have been shut down. You can't actively play that. But this museum, they want to create a place that you can go in, you pay your admission, and you're essentially in a museum, but they want it to be hands-on, so you can play the games and understand what they're on. Give the person experiencing it a level of immersion. You're using the old controller, or this is what a 386 laptop looked like, or those kind of things. And the ESA is like, I don't think so. That's still stealing from us and copyright infringement. So I'm gonna say no. That I'm not gonna allow you to do that. I know Randy is big into kind of he loves and he hates digital for this exact reason, is that these things can just poof and vanish. What are your guys' take? Are you on the same page? Do you think the ESA is overstepping their bounds? And like, hey, come on, you're not doing anything with this anymore. Let us see these old games. Otherwise, we're going to go and pirate them anyway. But you just can't then make them available to everyone. Koosh, what are you thinking?
Yeah, that's a big fear, right? Yeah, I don't want these games to go away because I've bought so many and they're sitting on my shelf and I've never played them. So when they go, that's going to be a hard pill to swallow and explain to my wife. So I definitely want these games to stick around, but yeah, I get it. They don't want people to pirate these things. People will, and for that, my eternal gratitude for the people that go through and figure out how to emulate the 360 eventually. And I buy all these old games. I buy, the Mega Mans. Don't really play them, but I like to own them, and I like knowing that. I've got this piece of history and it's sitting over here on my shelf. And maybe that's the great thing about physical, right? So even when the game goes away, you still get that case. You've got the art, up to a certain point in time, you've got the game manual as well. So I'll be sad when these things go, but by then I'll be too old to remember. That's my take.
But like at some point, you want to show the next generation, like, this is what we used to play. No, definitely not Star Trek. But like I look back, I was talking to my kids today about an old game, Dungeon Keeper. Do you guys remember Dungeon Keeper from Bullfrog?
Nope.
It was essentially like a sim, like a management game almost, where you were given this underground plot of land, and you use your imps and you mined out gold, and you mined out this little area. So like if you mined out a little 3x3 block area, you can then build a room in there. Okay, this is going to be my imp feeding room. Okay, then I'll build out this 3x4 section, so 12 squares, and this will be my torture room, and this will be my weapons room, and you build this dungeon underground, and then at some point you will trigger heroes from the surface to come down and raid your dungeon. And so you'd have to set up traps and have monsters go and kill them. And the idea was like, hey, I'm just trying to make a dungeon here, guys. Like, I wish you would stop looking for treasure in my basement, because this is just my house. I'm just making a dungeon, and these heroes would come in and raid in. And like at some point, it was very cheeky, very like silly and fun. But like, you could capture the heroes and torture them, and then they would be on your side. And you never played this? It's probably a little too old for you, Proulx. But like, I remember playing this game a ton. They came out with a mobile version that was a complete monstrosity. EA, I think it was EA who did that. They ended up like microtransactioning the heck out of it and made it just gross. But that game was super fun, and it was a game like that. Like, my son was like, "Oh, can I play it?" I'm like, "Well, no." Like, to be honest, I have no idea how to go back and play that. Like, I can't even think of I'm sure I could do a Google search and figure it out at some point if I was really intrepid enough. But it sounds like a lot of work. But just to think that games like that, are essentially going away, and that the only way to get them is through illicit means, unless they're public domain and you have access to them. So
this is a wider problem than just games. Have you heard of the phrase digital dark age?
I have. I can't say that I could tell you the definition.
So it's the idea that because we're early on, where we're kind of digitizing everything, and all of these formats that we use everything in, for, even just your basic, Word or PDF, or, for example, Genesis game, these digital files that we have will not be able to be read in 20, 30, 50, 100 years. This isn't just a game issue. This is a early on software issue where it's going to be tough to, if you have a tablet where people wrote things down, you kind of have to contend with language. But
yeah,
if you know the language, it's not too troublesome to kind of put that into context to understand how that works. In 50 years, if nobody has any idea what an NES was written in, or how it was written, or any, it's a bigger problem. It would be much tougher to reconstruct those sort of things. So it's possible now that we're living in this age where these sorts of things are going to be antiquities, not too far in the future. So it's an interesting problem, and I don't have a solution for it, certainly. And I don't even know. I guess my natural reaction would be to obviously fight against what the ESA is saying here. But I don't know. It's tough to say, because they kind of own all of this material as well.
Right.
So, it's tough. It's hard.
Yeah, I totally agree. We'll see where it ends up going. It's funny because I was thinking of, you mentioned the digital dark ages, and obviously that's a callback to the actual dark ages, when it's like the written history between 700 and, well, maybe probably later than that, 1000 AD and like 1500 AD. It's like, things happened, but we don't really have that much detailed information about it. Yep. You think in such an enlightened era that we live in, that you would have more traceability of things that actually existed and whatnot. Yet, I think we're just kind of taking it for granted, and it's just disappearing, which is too bad. I know some of those things, like like old Oregon Trail, right? Like, that's public domain. It was some Minnesota Education Alliance or whatever, the MECC who did it. Like, a lot of people take this stuff, and because that's public. What?
Wait a minute, Freem. Are you telling me that the Oregon Trail was written by Minnesotans?
I believe it was a Minnesotan Education Consortium or something. That's what MECC stands for.
Come on.
And they created the game.
You people are everywhere.
Anyway, but like that game's public domain because it was done as I think through a government agency or whatnot. So like you can find that on. I mean, someone ported it to they've done Java versions, they've done web scripts and things. So you can like play that online, and people have converted a lot of games to play in other areas, right? That's what emulators are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that legality part of it which makes life challenging. So I don't know, Koosh, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this, or I like I said, we'll see if Randy has anything to say. But I was wondering if there was anything else on your mind about the ESA's block here. Man, that pup sounds super cute.
He's super cute and super full of energy right now. At what was this 1 a.m? Oh, there he goes again. So yeah, not too much to add, and got some work for Randy or Proulx here to edit that out, I'm guessing.
It's all Randy this week, so let the pup whine as loud as he needs.
There you go. One last news item here is, and it was a feature that Mixer is now offering, that you can actually buy games straight from the streams. So if you are watching a Mixer stream and you're like, hey, that game looks like a lot of fun, maybe we should let people buy it right from the, as you're watching it. And what it does is now if you do a direct purchase through there, you actually, not only do you buy that, but you are contributing to the streamer. The streamer gets a kind of a finder's fee, like, it's a 5% cut of the purchase price. So of course, they do have to be a Mixer partner. Like, if you're a Mixer partner, that's what you get. But that's great incentive for being part of the Mixer community. And, if you, are playing games, because I think it's easy to go find a game of PUBG, or it's easy to find a game of, popular game of the month. But, like for us, with, like, Teslagrad, pretty obscure, and maybe that's not, something that people are looking for. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, that older game looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll give that a shot. And you can support some of those lesser known games or lesser popular games, which I think is really cool. I think that's a great feature. It's kind of one of those like no brainers. Why weren't you doing that earlier? But I like the feature set that Mixer is continuing to grow. Proulx, what about you? Any comments on that, on Mixers?
It makes sense, and it seems to me too that this is kind of an aggressive push towards the whole YouTube situation as well.
Yeah.
But I like this idea. I mean, if there was, I'm a fan of certain personalities on YouTube or Mixer or whatever, certain streamers, and if they turned me on to a certain game, I would definitely. It would make sense for me to contribute to both of those creators at the same time. And I would have no problem. In fact, I would be encouraged to do it through this avenue than just through, the Xbox store or, just to subscribe to them. This would make sense to split the difference and be like, I like both of these things and I'd like to support both of these things. So this just works for me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's it for the news. We got a few questions, a little bit of feedback from our community here. Let's start with a question from Planting. So Planting asks, he says what he really wanted was a Rock Band Rivals rant from Randy, and so but unfortunately he's not going to get that this week. Hopefully he gets it maybe next week. But he said, if you could have any video game character take your place for one day, who would it be? Proulx, do you want to start? Do you have anybody in mind that would take your place for a day?
My place specifically? Oh God, I don't know. Who would I pick? I don't even know who I'd pick. You know what? Actually, I take it back. I would take Tom Nook because he seems to be able to get money out of people, and I'd pick Tom Nook.
I can see that. Koosh, do you have Do you have somebody in mind who a video game character that would take your place?
Well, right now, Barbie and her sister's puppy rescue would be fantastic. I wouldn't mind them helping calm this little guy. But yeah, what an interesting question. I don't know. My question is, what am I doing while they're taking my place? Do I have to be in their world, or can I just go on the beach somewhere?
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I wonder what the flip side would be. Like, so if I said, like, I don't know, Marcus Phoenix, right? And it's like, yeah, Razor Hail my life. And then it's like, wait, am I on Sarah? Like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to take his place. That sounds awful. So maybe I pick, and like, what if I was Lara Croft? Like, she's real rich, you can go on adventures, quite attractive. But it doesn't necessarily fit like what I would do every day. And really, my life is pretty darn boring, so I can't imagine that any of these fabulous characters who do really cool things would have anything of interest to do. Maybe, how about we go, well, this doesn't end well for her either. I was thinking of Max from Life is Strange, to be able to kind of rewind time, so you can kind of just get your day perfect.
Awkward. Yeah, that
maybe go to
well.
like a lottery and find out what the numbers are that night, and then rewind and then go get those other days. But then time paradox thing, like I don't know, consume the city that I live in. I could see that not ending well for me in the long run. Maybe whales falling out of the sky and double blood moons or whatever. So yeah, maybe that's not the right way to go. Really interesting question though, Planting. We got a question here from Skeptical Mario. A couple questions. He sent me a private message with a bunch of these, so we'll open all these up. But he did have a comment on the THQ Nordic sale that you guys talked about last week. That Koch Media, they likely do other non-video game stuff, right? It's a media entity, and I believe they probably own a few other publishers, but Deep Silver as a publisher also owns Homefront, and they recently released that Kingdom Come Deliverance game that just came out. So there's a couple other IPs out there that's not just the the Volition and Dead Island, so that there's a little bit more there, but I still think 120 euros is pretty darn cheap or what is that? 150 million or 120 pounds or whatever it was.
120 million, yeah, not just 120.
Well, yeah, I mean, oh, geez, I spent more on that on my Xbox than that. Yeah. But I still think overall for all those, yes, despite those properties not retaining that much current value, I still think they're getting off pretty easy. I
don't know.
For some
I guess we'll see in the next
properties.
5 years or so whether it's worth it, but that's a lot of money for a lot of unsure properties, is all I'm saying.
That's true. Let's go to his questions. He said, he asks, have you ever tried gamification as a method to improve productivity? For example, did you ever make a random chore to-do list or something along those lines? It's interesting because I've mentioned this talk multiple times where they talk about that epic gaming moment, and that really if you dissect what you do in a video game, that it's pretty menial, mindless stuff at times. Yet we enjoy it because we're getting this great feedback loop and feel like we're making progress. Where, if you're min-maxing a character in, Diablo or World of Warcraft or something like that, like you could effectively be balancing spreadsheets and moving, finances around or other productivity things. Yet the fact that it's tied to this game and you're looking at, armor values go up or attack values go up and, manipulating inventories to free up more space, like that. That's essentially the gamification. And so it's like, because you get so much more out of that, yes, in theory you should be more productive, but how can you get it to the point where what you're doing from a work standpoint feels like you're getting that payoff? I know I do a lot of like messing around with spreadsheets, but really they're still gaming related. Like I'll export data and I'll manipulate spreadsheets of video game related things. And yeah, I'm manipulating spreadsheets, but that's not at all productivity related. Like I'm not helping my company at all with with the garbage that I'm doing on my computer. It looks like I'm working because, they're spreadsheets and I'm not just cruising the web all day, but it's absolutely not productive. Proulx, do you have anything that you do that's productive?
So in the past, I've used an app called Habitica, and I'm not sure how many people are familiar with it, but it's essentially gamification of everyday tasks. It gives you the opportunity, you put in something like, say, I want to floss every day, and you put in your milestones and all this sorts of stuff, and it, you gain levels based on how it just gamifies whatever you want it to gamify. And I've only used it a very limited amount, so I'm not endorsing it wholeheartedly, but it is exactly what the question's about. How would you sort of gamify normal, everyday, mundane tasks in order to give you that sort of motivation that achievements seem to give us that those tasks don't have inherently. And right. I've had limited experience, but I think it's pretty effective at it. I think that there is a big gap where someone could come in and do it very well. But for a first kind of effort, it works well. And I'm sure there are many other apps that can do this sort of thing for you. It's interesting. It's just a really cool idea. Gamification as an idea as a whole is super interesting to me. And I'd like to see where it can kind of go.
For sure. Koosh, do you do anything along these lines?
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be cool. I just haven't seen a really good, put it into practice. I remember there was an iOS app back when Scott Johnson used to do, he used to do some sort of app review podcast. I can't remember what it was called now, but he brought up this one where basically it was a dungeon crawler, and you would you'd go out and you put tasks in, like, take out the garbage, do this, do that, go to the grocery store, and each one of those would basically increase your level. I gotta do something like that, and I thought about doing it, and just with most phone apps, I'm hot on it for like a week, and then I'm done with it, and I never want to open it again. But I leave it on my phone for whatever reason to make backups take longer. And then, at work we have ticketing systems, as a programmer. So we have these ticketing systems that basically keep stats of, how many are you closing a day, what's your response time. And I hate that because, if I take a long time to get stuff done, that impacts me negatively. I think they're great in theory, and I have yet to see a really good implementation.
I mean, there's like silly things that I'll do for, if I'm, if it's relatively menial and it's like, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to see how many I can do. Okay, I did 10. Okay, well, now for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to see if I can do 11 or 12, right? Increasing a high score, as it were. That's a very simple way of doing it. But I think the main thing is there needs to be some sort of feedback on that to say, like, okay, yes, your quote unquote score is higher, but what does that mean? Like, do you get more money? Do you, because you're more productive? What does that get you in the long run? That's kind of the issue there. And you can set up your own personal challenges, but really personal challenges are only going to go so far. So yeah, great. You know what, Koosh? Skeptical had a bunch of questions for you as well, and so let's tackle some of those. Skeptical wants to know, what is your favorite variety of Oreo?
Oreo has been putting out these crazy flavors recently.
Constantly, they're insane. Like, their marketing is totally on point. Like, I do the same thing with Mountain Dews. Every time I see one, it's like, gosh, I don't need that sugar, but man, I want to try something new.
But it's an investment, right? You get that whole thing. You got like 3 sleeves now that you have to eat if you don't like them, and then also if you're trying not to put on too many pounds, You just have to throw them away. I would much prefer it if they had like little samplers. You could buy like 4 at a time or something. That'd be fantastic. But for me, recently, I guess I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to that. I like the peanut butter ones. Those are pretty darn good. And you know what? Yeah. The original, I know it's boring, but don't break something
Super
that works. Now, one thing I had a girlfriend in college did that's unusual to me is she would put those in the freezer. So kind of like Thin Mints or Girl Scout cookies. She would put those Oreos in the freezer, and it's not bad. I would recommend trying that. Just see if it works for you.
I would never have even considered that. My personal favorites are the those what are they? The caramel apple ones that they came out with. Oh man, I could just pound a whole box, no problem. Like they're fantastic. Proulx, do you have a favorite Oreo? I know this is a KooshMoose question, but I'm curious if there's an Oreo that you're particularly keen on.
Oh yeah, the best Oreo of all time is obviously the vanilla fudge Oreo, which is an Oreo dipped in vanilla fudge. They only do it, I think, during the fall time ish. By far, it's like a milk dipped Oreo without the actually having to dip it in milk. It's amazing. It's the best. It's the best Oreo they make by far.
Gotcha. Hey, Koosh, here is the other question from Skeptical Mario. He says, describe how you approach buying games or adding them to your collection, and what was your biggest bean dive that you've ever done?
Let's do the bean dive first. That's easy. So I've done 2 bean dives. I joined TA 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and didn't really start doing any of the competitions or the community stuff until maybe 2 years ago. So 2 bean dives. The first one was very small. And the second one, most recently, was this last one. I dove 70 games, lost 2% completion. My completion percentage is not great, so I'm not really concerned with that. But it was fun to get it back up, and it was, especially towards the end of it, I was kind of tracking it and being like, oh, okay, so I need to stop playing new games, and I need to kind of just push through on these older ones or ones I've started way back when and just kind of get that percent up. So that covers that. But my philosophy towards buying games, I guess I have a bit of a reputation.
Yes, you do.
So my gaming history. I started off with the Channel F console, and you may not know what that was, but I believe it was a Sears brand console, and the controller for it was this ridiculous controller. You should Google it. It's basically a vertical paddle with a triangular head that you could turn left, you could turn right. I don't think you could depress it. I don't think you could push it in a direction or not. I can't recall. My favorite game on that system was one where you paint. I think it was called Paint. Literally paint. And I would basically play the game, and I would take the block and I would just go all the way around the screen. And when I was done that, I would undo it. I would go all the way back around. So I started off with very caveman-like gaming systems, and we had that forever while my friends were getting the Nintendo and all the other fun stuff. The Atari. Never had an Atari, so I had a lot of envy growing up with my friends that had the cool console systems. So when I kind of got into that, I really got into it, and I really enjoyed the NES. And so I kind of have an affinity for those types of games. The slightly easier ones, not the really big ticket games like the first-person shooters and all that. Those are fun, but I have a soft spot for hey buddy, what are you doing? For these smaller games, and like I said, these indie games and the games that remind me of games from my past. And then I'll go and I'll see a 360 game that looks like it has a pretty cool mechanic, and yeah, the graphics aren't great, but then I'm like, yeah, I kind of want that. I might want to play it at some point. So I wait for them to go on sale, or I pick them up at GameStop for when I know I use the G word. But I'll go there and I'll get them when they're the 4 for $10 or whatever sale. Right. I'll just kind of pick that up. So I've got a pretty large collection of physical and digital now. But yeah, I'm trying to basically because people were ridiculing me. I'm trying to be much better about not buying full price. And I just keep seeing all these indie titles come up. Even a year ago, I would see an indie game come up, and I'd be getting one or two a week, basically, because I really wanted to play them. I really wanted to have them and to support the developers and kind of see that, the innovation and the new types of games and different types of games. But most recently, I've been kind of holding off and getting one or two that I really am interested in per month. And then I will, I don't know if it's Fee or Iron. I'm not sure what it is that just came out. That game looked really cool, kind of reminded me of Ori. So I picked that one up at full price. But for the most part, I'll wait 3 months and then get stuff that's on sale. That's kind of been my philosophy of late, and it's kind of been working. But I got a lot of games.
Yeah, that's the constant challenge of us is the backlog just continues to get bigger, and we never quite chip away at it like we want to. One last question here, and this is for everybody. Skeptical Mario asks, can you think of an instance where a particular boss or game section gave you a lot more trouble than you expected? Proulx, do you have anything in mind of a particularly challenging little subsection or a boss that...
I got really frustrated at this game called Teslagrad at the final boss, but
did you think it would be tough though? That's the real kicker.
Yeah,
you come into it thinking, this is gonna be a piece of cake, and you're like, wait, what the? Are you kidding me?
I'm sure. I imagine there are many for me. I generally tend to think that I can walk through video games, and then I encounter troubles and get frustrated. I'll have to think about it.
And I've mentioned this before on the show, and it's like one of these things that continues to perplex me as to why I cannot figure this out, and it's how to play Nicktoons MLB. Like, that game is so dumb. Like, it's a dumb baseball game. Why can't I figure it out? Like, why is it so hard for me to do that? Now, thankfully, I had kind of a bit of a breakthrough, and now I just have to beat teams, which I can do that. I can smash teams, no problem. But, like, to get a guy to hit for the cycle, to get a high, like, controlling guys on the bases, oh, my God. I don't know why it was so hard for me, but, man, that's one where I came into it, I'm thinking, yeah, easy completion, 8 hours, maybe, tops, and I put in way more than 8 hours. It's just awful. Koosh, do you have anything in mind of something that is that a boss or a game section that was way more difficult than you thought?
After watching your guys' stream on Teslagrad, I was like, you know what? And also, I think Mr. Mango, had a question about a particular room. So I kind of went back through and realized, okay, well, when you beat the game, it's New Game Plus. You can't continue your old game. So I kind of went through and I was zipping through these rooms, and I came to one room, and no joke, I'm just trying to get off a freaking ladder and dash to the right to get onto a block. I did that 20 times. And the block is like, it's over. It's right there. There's nothing difficult about this. I kept getting hung up on the wall. So it's kind of ridiculous to me that something like that easy would be giving me troubles. But the big thing that I'm probably never going to get, and I just have to admit that, like Stu said, I'm just not a good gamer. I'm not good enough to do it. Flappy Goat. I can't do it.
That's not easy.
I know. Isn't it, though? It's one button. It's one button.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And I can't do it twice, right? Because there's the 360 and there's the one. And that'll be my goal for this decade.
I thought of another example. God, that stupid Black Diamond thing in Hexic. Oh my God.
Grand Proulx Poobah.
Oh my God. I had one of those achievements for Random To-Do List about 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm like, okay, I can do this in a month. I think I gave up within a day. Nope, not even touching it. There's no way. I can just tell. I don't understand it. I don't know why I can't do it, but no way. I'm not going to touch that. No way.
Yeah, I agree. That was a gnarly. I mean, even like when you watch it happen, like it's like, oh yeah, I can set up that little little section. That's not a big problem. And then the thing just totally falls apart on you. That's a good one. Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our show, guys. Of course, we got a few bits here with other segments and stuff, but as far as the main show, that's going to do it. So, I want to thank everybody for listening, taking the time to listen to our show. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun, fun recording this. If you would help us out and are interested in supporting the show, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Z2Z. Anything you guys be willing to donate would be hugely appreciated. Again, nothing, we do give out games in theory, so if you chip a few bucks our way, you get an opportunity to win a retail game. We all need more games. There's constantly coming out with some good ones. But if you can't, then we totally understand. And one of the free ways you can do it is just spreading the word to your friends, telling them about the podcast, having them listen. We actually I got a private message from Kingsman saying it's my 1-year anniversary, and I want to thank the show for existing and coming up with a really cool community. And we got actually a few getting new people who jumping into Discord who new to the community and are just seeing what we have in terms of these contests and just. Contests are awesome. They're so much fun. And this is the start of March when this comes out. So there's new contests abound, which is fantastic. Other than that, I think that's about it. Of course, best way to reach us, Twitter, @ZZZEDTOZED. Wow, it's getting a little late. Or email, contact@Z2Z.com. If you want to reach me personally, I'm Freemhole pretty much everywhere. Twitter is @Freemhole, FREAMWHOLE, and that's my gamer tag. That's where I'm at, trueachievements.com, etc., etc., etc. Proulx, why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, people can find me on Twitter as well. That's OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word.
Fantastic. And Koosh, if you're interested, otherwise you can just say leave me alone. That's fine too.
I'm KooshMoose just about everywhere. But hit me on Twitter. I'm probably not gonna see it. Don't check it out that much just for contests and such. But Xbox, TA, those are the ways if for whatever reason you want to talk to me, or obviously Discord.
That would be the best. So awesome. Thanks again for being a part of the show, Koosh. Thanks for offering up Teslagrad. That was a fun game, a fun experience for the community in the month of February. Look forward to Manual Samuel in the upcoming month of March, and then Sea of Thieves in the month of April. Get those Game Passes ready. I just got my new Xbox One X. There's a Game Pass trial in there. I think, which I haven't cached. I mean, I still have my original. That's the original one, right?
Are you going to be participating in Manual Samuel?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that. I'll try to remember to do the record. I'd also like to take this chance to say, hey guys, thanks for humoring me and actually trusting me and checking out Teslagrad and then making it into a thing on the show for M and L and everyone that pushed for it. That's very cool. I hope people enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Agreed. So, on behalf of Koosh and Proulx, this has been Brandon, and to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next episode.
Z2Z Podcast presents Review Z.
All right, so we're back for another weekly dose of GTASC highlights.
Should we do the usual and talk about the things that have already happened by the time the podcast comes out, or?
Yeah, because we don't know the future. Don't know what's going to happen. Hey, though, much like the actual Winter Olympics that was being broadcast on NBC, they're over, and I never really noticed because, gosh, they were awful this year.
I watched highlights, but that was about it.
Did you see that woman skier in the half pipe from Hungary where it's like, oh, you can go and circumvent the rules and you could be a nobody and be able to compete in the Olympics. And you're going, you do realize she represented Hungary. So an entire country is now sitting there going, really? Really? Us? Thanks.
No, I must have missed that.
Oh, just go Google or Bing. You know, Bing, best way to Google on the internet.
If you want those points, it is.
Hey, how do you think I'm paying for Xbox Gold? It's not coming out of my pocket. Thank you, Microsoft.
Bill?
Yeah, so look up it's the women's competitive half pipe for skiing. And yeah, just Hungary. Just look at her run and you'll be like, oh. But yeah, when that's what's happening in the Olympics, I was hoping. Actually, there was a lot of injuries, so that really made the.
From what I understand, some of the weather was pretty brutal, especially for the snowboarders, like the slope side stuff.
Yeah, the wind and all that. So, but this week on G-Task, I think we're safe.
Probably. I'm not great in the solo. I'm gonna have to put a little more up before the end.
I finally finished Battle Wages. Oh,
Congratulations!
Why you ever had me start that? Why?
Well, there was something about it needed to be done then to start things, and how did I know it was going to take you 2 years?
Yeah, well, done. Now I just got the 2 years later. Oh, hey, we're going to have 2 title updates. Like, really? Well.
You sure don't want to do Quake 4?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not doing Quake 4. What's the other one? What's the other? Elite Dangerous?
Well, I've given up trying to get you to start that.
What is it? A racing sim in space?
No, it's Graw in space. Didn't you hear Randy?
Oh, gosh. Back when I listened to the podcast. Don't worry. I don't like listening to myself. I very like recording it. All right. What do we got this week? Symmetry.
Well, it's a game as they call it.
All right. Hold on. Let's give the info.
Sorry.
Let's give the info. Well, at least before we go into. So this was published by IMGN Pro and developed by Sleepless Clinic. It was released to Xbox in 2 days. So I thought that said the 28th. No, February 23rd. So 3 days ago. As of time of recording, digital only, blah, 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 blah. Xbox Live Store price, $17.99. So now this was originally a Steam game.
Actually, I want to say it came out about the same time on Steam because all of the forums I was finding were from February of this year.
You mean people actually were able to endure it that long, that quickly to write guides?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's categorized on the genre. No, it doesn't have a genre.
It doesn't have a genre yet.
Oh, God.
If it does have a genre, it would probably be management, but we can only guess.
Racing. Arcade racer.
Ooh.
Nominating it now.
Let's not go there again.
Come on, hot thread. All right. So management, yeah. I think I had to manage more staying awake. This was so you crash land on a planet. I guess why were you flying out there? I don't really remember. You crash land and you have 3 random. Well, I guess they're not random, but your stats are random. It's kind of like a role playing game. You get a roll and find out that you rolled really bad stats, and you try to survive.
Yeah, about that. This is one of those games it's great to start over and over until you actually get decent stats on your characters, because it is completely random.
How do you know what are good stats?
Well, good stats would be you have 3 tasks to do, which is, for the most part, chop wood, gather electronic scrap, and make food.
Sounds like Minecraft.
All of which are no building.
Would have improved it.
Basic. Oh God, maybe. So basically, if you don't have each of your crew members with at least like a half proficiency in one of those skills, you want to make sure you cover all 3 bases. If you don't have someone who can chop wood, you're dead. If you don't have someone who can make food, you're dead, and so on.
Name of the game: if you can't do X, you're dead.
Yeah, you'll die a lot. It's kind of designed for that, I think.
Yeah, so you have 3 crew members, and then you have to survive up to a certain amount of time. Oh my god, I don't know how you're going to get hardcore survivor. I think what's our cap? 3 days, 5 days? You got to get.
I made it to 5. You need to make 7 just to get your 4th crew member.
Oh, and then you got to make it up to 30 days.
Yeah.
And then somehow make a.
Yikes.
Yeah. Hey, the ratio on that's just 6 on 175. That's crazy. So from we're an achievement. I'm told we're an achievement podcast. So in terms of achievements, it's got some beefy ratio. 3.8. Doesn't look. Oh, granted, it just came out this week, so there's only
34 gamers.
One person's completed, so it is completable. But I hate to say, but I'll be honest. This was boring. It was just slow.
Oh, yeah. It's a relatively easy 115G, and the rest you'll be pulling your hair for.
Yeah, it was just your people walk slow. And then that was the thing, right? So you would have to get your guy, okay, go outside and chop wood because we got to get the fire going in this thing. And he would just slowly walk there. And it's not like it's 2D. It's just like on flat. There's no depth to it. It's just almost like a side scroller, but you're not. You just go to left. Like you have the crash landed, and I'm not giving away any spoilers here. You have the crash landed ship in the middle, and then you go to the left to chop wood, and then you go to the right to get scraps, and then in the middle you have like your battery and where your food generation is, and just your stuff that breaks. The stuff won't even stay working for a day. The biggest
question. True. Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, but then again, I guess you look at the planet. The planet you land on is pretty inhospitable.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest things I think I spent time trying to figure out, and it took reading Steam forums to actually answer it. That battery that you assume is going to work, it actually doesn't work until that engineer shows up day 7. So don't waste your time upgrading it. Don't do anything with it. It's really pointless until you at least get that far in the game.
Yeah, so best of luck if you like a management. Is this a management game? Even Beholder was a better example, in my opinion, of a management game.
I just don't know where else to put this. I mean, because you manually have to click. You have to manage what all your crew does, to the point that if you don't tell them a new task, they'll sometimes die. Like, say you tell them to go and rest, and you forget that they're resting, but they needed food. They'll literally die because they're hungry, and you haven't told them to come out and eat. It's that technical with what you actually have to do. It's silly.
Remember to breathe.
Thankfully, it's not manual Samuel.
So, is that going to be the game of March?
Yes.
Wait, so that's like going to be starting when this comes out, right? Wait, or no, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have. Wait, how many are in February? 28? Is this 29 this year?
28.
It's not leap year, right?
No, 28.
So this is.
Yeah, by the time this podcast comes out, we should.
No, that'll be Wednesday. So it'll be the day after.
Oh, yeah, it'll be Wednesday. Yeah, so.
Okay.
After. Yep.
I'm really good with my dates.
I like eating dates.
Ew. How old are you? 50? Dates?
40?
Not yet. We're not there yet.
They're not bad, man. You should try them.
So, in all,
yeah. On that note,
so Symmetry again. I'd rather talk about eating. I don't have much to add for this game. It was just for $17. I don't even recommend checking it out. I can't.
Nah, it is brutal. I mean, and I was kind of joking about the easy 115G. It's simple to unlock, but it's time you'll never get back. Not to mention, some of the things you're asked to do for achievements are just downright grisly. Looking at the achievements, for killing a crew member and eating a crew member. Oh, delicious.
Yeah, that was the highlight of this game. Some, forced cannibalism.
Turning it off.
So, I'd have to say we can't. I'm not giving this a pass.
No, I hate to say it, because we've been pretty good with having decent games, but this one definitely did not live up to its promises. I don't know if it promised anything, but that's
hey,
about what it
Randy,
gave us.
go get your shovel. We can bring back Shovelware Cemetery.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. So, well, I won't be around next week, so hopefully you give our listeners something better to.
Well, Randy seems really interested, so I think he might be able to make an appearance.
I won't spoil what I got you guys. Well, you know what I got you guys, but for the listeners, I won't. But I guess at that point, do we just turn it over to the Microsoft Speak and Say?
Ooh, it could be that time.
Good. All right. Microsoft Speak and Say, take it away. Peace.
Bot.
Hey everybody, it's time for another community roundup. I know I missed last week, so let's do double duty here with the GTASC, the Great True Achievement Score Challenge of 2018. So we'll start with what we missed on Period 5. That's the one that ended on Valentine's Day, February 14th. I know, half a month ago. But it's the one that ended then. Our top Zeds for team side, well, it was Smirnov and Redemption again. Eat, Sleep, Complete, Repeat. They finished 17th overall. The near miss, Team Stan the Man. He finished 5 places over, his team finished 5 places over the elimination by 47 TA. And then we lost the Saviors that week. That was X-Tower's team. They were eliminated. And in Period 6, now this was the one that ended on February 21st, this most recent one. Our top Zeds, different team, the Squid Kids. Team of Weasel Pizza and Brutal Guitar, they finished 5th overall. Our near miss, Team Enigma Gamer 77, featuring Enigma Gamer 77 and New York Giants for SBS. They were 7 places over elimination, 71 TA. We had a ton of teams eliminated, though. The dynamic duo, Giant Hunger and AX7 Beast, they were the top Z one week. And we lost Bribery, Kidnapping, Ransom, the team of Akaraba and Jellied Bigfoot. The AH crew, Cursed Souls and A.H. Housey, and Team Stand the Man. You just squeaked by the week before, and in week 6 you get eliminated. So that's where we stand for the GTAC 2018. As far as the individual side of it goes, well, our top Zed in Period 5, well, that goes to Smirnov. He was 45th overall. And in Period 6, our top Zed was Weasel Pizza. He finished 27th overall, so congratulations there. The near misses, well, Elafet 77 was 26 places over elimination for Period 5, and Kunzite 508, 27 places over elimination in Period 6. The eliminated people, well, in Period 5, we lost the Joe Dean, Lord Chabello 13, and Foo Foo Cuddly Poof. They all went down on Valentine's Day. Hopefully their significant others could console them in their time of great sadness. Eliminations last week, February 21st, well, there's a ton of them. We lost Corner Scout, Spanking Spronkle, Stan the Man 00, Giant Hunger, Cowboy Killer 360, NBA Kirkland, X Towers, Chi-Town Redneck, and The Stranger 316. That was all of the carnage you missed over the last 2 weeks. That's all I got to say about that. It is the end of the month of February, guys, which means random to-do lists are getting turned over. All the contests brand new. And so keep an eye out on your March list. We are at the halfway point through the little 4-month trimester. So that'll be great. I'm hoping for a little bit of action from the random to-do list on our March Game of the Month. That's right. Game of the Month is we're just finishing up Teslagrad in February. That is what you just heard on this last show. We'll do one more week next week where we do a kind of a stats update on how many people played. I'm sure the deaths will be in there, how many people completed it, etc. Well, in March, the winner of the month of March, our patron nominee, Chin Doctor, nominated Manuel Samuel. It helped greatly that it went on sale like the week we put up the poll for like, what, $2, $3? I don't know how much it was. Super cheap. So we'll be doing Manuel Samuel for the month of March. get involved on our Discord. You can come meet up with us, discord.io/ZZ. There we'll have a chat for the month of March that is Manual Samuel discussions. We can talk about how ridiculous the controls are and how much how challenging it is to stay, to manage ourselves in that game. Maybe it's easy. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't played it yet. We do have our community challenge for the month of March. We are doing spin-offs. So those are games that are not part of the main series. So probably the two most notable, and I'm sure there's a ton, like Gears of War Judgment, right? That's not a mainline Gears story. Or Halo Reach, Halo ODST, not a mainline Halo story. So post any achievements you get from those. I'm sure there'll be a flood of questions of, hey, does this count? What about this one? Like I would probably say Fallout Shelter counts, right? Like that's not a mainline Fallout game. So anyway, plenty of things that we can discuss in the chat. You should also go there for February and make sure that you get your submissions in for that game of the month, the shortest month of the year. Those are games that have 12 or less achievements total. And you get a bonus 5 entries if you have a completion. So make sure you post in the forums. Let us know that you took part, and let us know what games they are so we can verify. And then finally, we've got our Gamertag challenge. Well, for the month of March, the Gamertag is going to be Rocker Dude 5012. That is 10 letters, 4 numbers. Remember, those numbers, they can be any number in a title. So, for instance, if you wanted to do NBA 2K17, you could do that for the 5, even though there's no 5s in there. It just happens to have a number in the title. That totally works. So don't worry about that. Finally, if you haven't been on our Discord session, you guys should come and visit us in the chat. It is a great place to come visit, talk. We have plenty of things to discuss. Apparently this podcast is in love with food. You heard it. I'm sure we talked about it this previous show, even though I said we wouldn't. It is what it is. But we also do boosting sessions. We have plenty of gamers out there who are looking for people to game with, a cool community that's super fun. We are working on Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare on the Xbox One now, and that is Thursday nights. We just got started on it, so there's plenty of chances to get involved there. We also have some Halo boosting going on. We're doing Master Chief as of now. And we also have Battleborn going on Wednesdays. And I think there's a couple other things kicking around in the world. So take a look at that. See if there's anything out there that interests you. I'm sure there'll be something that that does something for you. Other than that, I think that's it for my roundup. I don't know if there's anything else I have to say. Keep your eye out on trueachievements.com. There's going to be another contest coming up here soon with the tail end of the Winter Olympics just wrapped up. We're going to do a quick regroup, and I think there's another one right around the corner. Yeah, it's, just boom, boom, boom. Other than that, let's head out, and I guess we'll do one I don't know what's left. There's more show, I'm sure. You guys have a good one. Talk to you later.
Hello, and welcome to the What the L with the RTDL. I am Big L.
And I am Elroy.
Hi, Elroy.
Well, hey, how's it been? It's been a week, hasn't it?
Been a week. Pretty sad, though.
Oh, yeah?
Well, you guys are getting combos, and I don't think I'm going to get a combo.
Ooh, man. You're going to have to sit at like a different lunch table or something now.
I know. Do they serve combos at the lunch table?
We serve big kahuna burgers.
Burgers. What have you been playing this week, Elroy?
Oh,
celery.
Well, this week I had to finish up that get my full combo so I could keep searching that elusive ultra combo that I think everybody wants. But in doing so, I had to play an obscene amount of Rock Band, and I am not very good at Rock Band. Fortunately, my wife is, and she plays the drums, and she's pretty handy with the sticks. And I just sit
Whoa,
there
whoa, whoa,
fumbling
family show.
around, and I just keep putting my fingers in the wrong spots, and that's so enough about my love life. Oh, and so
That's called the L spot.
so I had it all planned out. I had the tracker on it worked very slowly, and so I had 99% of it, and I just had to play one more song. My lovely wife had already retired for the night, given that her eyes were starting to do weird things where she says the room starts moving around. And so I decided to tough it out. One more song, 99%. So I immediately thought, I know which song. I've been saving this song. I went with Du Hast, and I would thought that maybe, just maybe, the game would think that I was singing that to them. You know, you hate me. And so, which I did at that point for sure. And so I thought it would be even more awesome if I got a full combo on that song en route to getting my full combo on the RTDL. And I was able to muscle together enough coordination to hit all 400-something notes of it or whatever it was, and which was, you know, for me, very well. And so I got the full combo, and then nothing. Yeah, there was nothing. And so I had to go play one more song. So I went and found another song that I thought described the mood, which was I Won't Be Fooled Again or something like that. I don't know who song. I never heard it. But anyway, so, and then at the end of that song, I almost died, and I would have had to play another song, and it was just a nightmare. But anyway, it's done. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a long intro.
Did you hear me playing the sound effect before in the wrong place? That was good.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know what that is?
Your cat?
No, it's not my cat.
Oh, okay.
It's the countdown from the show 24, and sadly, I think I'm only going to get 24 out of the 25 this month. Yeah, I think I'm going to call that the Kiefer. And Proulx told me I have to explain all my jokes because he doesn't get them, or something like that. And because he apparently didn't understand that the Ash Wednesday jokes were about Pokemon, and the character's name is Ash. Even Elroy got that. And yes, you did. No, you didn't. Damn it, Elroy.
All right.
Oh. Did we start recording yet?
Yeah. Okay, so RTDL update. Let's get rolling on this. It's the end of the month, and the full combos are rolling in with 3 already reached and 3 possibly looming soon. But I guess that's down to 2 now that in lieu of what you just said. But regardless, assuming nothing crazy happens in the next 3 days, such as someone hypothetically traveling back in time to a time when people took 2-point shots in his sport, you know, preloading all their RTDL achievements and then popping them all at once.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. So, assuming nothing unusual happens, it looks like your top 5 of the month are going to be the usual full combo having individuals with WNBA Kirkland in first. My brother from another Aboriginal mother, Smitty. In third sits the Big Kahuna Burger, who could actually clinch second from Smitty's dead cold vegiment holding hands if he just finishes off his last Chivo for the month already. In fourth is the 2625th man of the king, and Elroy, love that guy, rounds out the top 5, but will likely be bumped down into the honorable mention spot.
Is it Proulx?
Once Big L figures out a way to finish off his month his list for the month, even though he says he won't. But it shouldn't take too long, given that he is a dirty curator with no redeeming qualities.
Hey, I resemble those remarks. You know, by the way, the one game I'm not going to get done is Zumba Kids. And there's a challenge in that game for playing 4 days in a week, and another challenge for playing 5 days in a week. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff you got to do on top of that. And February doesn't have a lot of days in it. So there's actually a trick. If you put your Xbox offline and you could change the days around and make it act like you're doing 4 days in the week,
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of waited until the last minute, and then I realized I have the digital version of the game, so I can't go and load. I can't load up the game when I'm not online because I need to be signed in. So yeah, that was a fail. So
just play Du Hast at it.
Oh.
All right. Well, so with little changing here at the end of the month in the top 5, Elle, how are we going to fill up the rest of our 25-minute long segment?
We can see if RTDL Bot wants to sing a song or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. But, well, every week there is a 3-hour lead into our segment. What does what the L pre-show talk about?
Definitely not achievements, I don't think. Just whatever comes to their mind.
And that works?
Swimmingly. The pre-show has at least 50 listeners.
Well, all right. Well, I can't argue with math. I think it's time for RTDL Update. What the L pre-show edition. Our honorable mention this month goes to...
Is it...
No, it's Posty. It's Posty.
I was going to say Proulx.
But you didn't.
Because you trampled me.
Like you were his improvement joke?
From 9 weeks ago.
Give or take.
Rest in peace, Proulx joke.
And say hello to Rocker Dead for us. Oh, man. I'm getting sad already.
We will miss you, Rocker Dude. You were a good guy.
He just had to go to that big rocker in the sky.
You got a Nintendo Switch.
Left all those rocker dudettes behind.
Oh, anyway.
Okay. Well, where was I?
You were talking about some toasty guy.
Ah, yes. Posty. He is our... he is... Yeah, Posty. Remember him? He is our honorable mention with his achievement from Mirror's Edge. This achievement, worth 168 points, is popped when you use the stomp move on every enemy.
It's just like Mario. Did you know he has a new game on the Nintendo Switch?
Really? Well, oh yeah, that's that one where he throws his hat on things and runs around shirtless, right?
You did say shirt, right?
Yeah, apparently Bowser scared him shirtless.
With the new Mario game, they should market it. If only there was a brick and mortar store that sold all kinds of Mario stuff under one roof.
Well, wait, isn't there a Nintendo merchandise store called GameStop?
It seems right. They sell all kinds of things. Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Pokemon. They also have these little figures that move when you play games. They have flash drive thingies in them.
So the toys come to life?
I don't know if I would classify them as toys to life, and I would refute that point if there was anything interesting to say about it.
Congrats, Posty! In 5th place, it's Rocker Dead with his achievement of... Well, his achievement in Batman Arkham Knight of 2 sides of the same coin. Now, this achievement, it's really cool, man, because they take these coins...
Speaking of coins, did you hear about that arcade in Philadelphia?
West Philadelphia?
Born and raised.
At the barcade is where you spent most of your days?
Yeah, when I was growing up, I used to hang out in the arcade and play NBA Jam and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2, and how come there was never Street Fighter 1? Always wondered about that. There was? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like a very different game. I think a side shooter or some sort, but
vehicular combat.
Yeah, you should know from what happened with M. Bison, not to doubt my Street Fighter knowledge here, but just be careful. Don't make the same mistake some other foolish person made. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the Street Fighter. Yeah, it's I used to ride my bike up to an arcade and play Street Fighter, and I just put some quarters down on the screen. That's what we did back in the day. And so there's this one dude. He's like an old dude. I guess he's like me now. I'm old now, and so he would play with Zangief. Like, who the heck plays with Zangief? And he would just mop the floor with everybody. And I'll never forget that guy. He was probably all he had going for himself in his life, but that he would show up to the arcade regularly at the same time every day and just whoop everyone with Zangief. But that's a different story, I'm sure.
I like wrestlers. He's a wrestler. And I was at a barcade recently also. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I was, usually they have these cool bands on pinball machines like Kiss and stuff like that. But I saw one that had Hanson. And every time you put in a quarter, you would hear, bop, boom, bop. And then you would pull the plunger and you would hear, bop, boom, bop, like the whole time. And yeah, I just died on purpose and walked away after that.
Excellent. Well, with pinball, I actually grew up with in a pinball household. My dad, for some reason, part of his midlife crisis, bought a bunch of pinball machines, and so I had one called Elvira, and so Elvira, it was kind of Elvira, and she was some skanky goth girl, I think, for those of you that didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s, and so I guess that's more 80s. But anyway, she had a little insert where you could put some lace where you couldn't see her, things that hang on the wall. Mm-hmm. And so, and so it wouldn't, where you wouldn't sit there and stare at because it's right there in your face the whole game, like on the little display. And so it was a very suggestive game when you're an adolescent boy. And so, like, there's the multi-ball function. You hit it in there. And so it goes lights, camera, organ, and then she's like says in a real skanky voice, "Ooh, nice organ," and so there's the whole game is full of stuff like that. And so at one point, my mom walked in while we were playing it, and she heard all that was carrying on, and so then it went into parenting mode, and then I lost interest in playing it. It was not as fun when it was all clean and wholesome. So, in any case, great job, Walker, dude. And in fourth place is Enigma Gamer 77 with his epic achievement from Commander Cherry's puzzle journey of Caution Hot, in which you must take something.
Do you use the oven? Excuse me, to cut you off.
Yeah.
Do you use the oven often?
Yeah, I have a fancy double oven. I'm living the life of luxury. Why do you ask?
Well, of the 6 commonly recycled plastics, 4 can withstand temperatures of 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit and higher. According to Machinist Materials, polyethylene terephthalate, PET, or a recyclable one, has a melting point of 255 degrees Celsius, which is 491 degrees Fahrenheit. High-density and low-density polyethylene, HDPE, and LDPE, or recyclables 2 and 4, melt at 130 degrees Celsius, i.e. 266 degrees Fahrenheit and 120 degrees Celsius, or 248 degrees Fahrenheit, respectively, according to Dynalab Corp.
That is very interesting. So what type of plastic was Proulx's Elite controller that somehow ended up in the oven?
Oh, well, the Elite controller features a steel construction with a soft-touch plastic exterior, along with interchangeable rear paddle buttons with either short or long forms, analog stick tops, both concave and convex, and directional pad designs of either the traditional four-way design or a concave disc-like design, and, quote, hair trigger locks, end quote, for the triggers that allow users to reduce the amount of distance they must be pressed to register a press.
Wow.
Through software, users can customize button and paddle mappings and adjust the sensitivity of the triggers and analog sticks. 2 button profiles can be assigned to a switch on the controller for quick access.
They sell switches at the Nintendo game merchandise stop.
Oh. The Elite controller, with all these bells and whistles it does not have a vibrating oven button that shakes when it gets stuck in the oven.
Well, 2 of Proulx's Elite controllers were in an oven. So, one turned to the other and said, "Man, it's hot in here." The other said, "Oh my God, a talking Elite controller. Congrats to Enigma Gamer 77. And third place, and just barely edging out Enigma, is a two-way tie.
A tie? Shut the front door. That's insane. How does that even happen? I cannot believe what I am hearing.
The tie is between Big Kahuna Burger and the Tominator.
Tommy. He is awesome, by the way.
Kahuna or Tommy?
Tommy, obviously.
Not Kahuna?
Meh.
For the achievement of Firestarter. Meh. Kahuna got his in Homefront the Revolution, and freaking awesome Tommy got his in Magic Duels, which is one of those achievements that.
Did you say Magic Duels? Have you ever played Magic the Gathering?
No, I am awesome like Tommy.
Oh, it's one of those collectible card games where you win against your opponent if you spend more money than they do.
Oh, yes. I've heard about this. When I went to PAX, they were talking about this on one of the panels I attended, and they said they were very much into Magic. And then they said, well, this one time there was this tournament, and they literally took a Sprite can, and they gave it all the best decks in the game, and it won second place.
I bet it would have won if it had been Crystal Pepsi.
So about those Firestarter achievements?
Yeah, that's really weird. Two people got the same achievement from two different games. It's almost like...
Did you ever catch a microwave on fire?
No, I am a competent human being.
Well, there are certain materials or foods that can start fires, when you're using a microwave. All products and materials vary from how they're made, how the food varies, but here are some very common microwave fire starting products that you'll want to avoid when using your microwave.
Also, one should avoid microwaving Chinese takeout containers. If you want to heat up some of your leftover Chinese takeout, never microwave them in the containers they come in when you order it. The containers have a metal handle which can easily start a fire to your microwave. All metal objects are a big no-no when it comes to microwaving food. They're easy targets to start a spark in your microwave.
Huh. Well, never microwave lunch bags or other paper products. Napkins, lunch bags, plastic bags, and newspapers are not safe materials to microwave. The intense heat from a microwave causes the paper materials to burn, letting out toxic fumes and starts a fire in your microwave. Avoid using them at all costs and never heat them up.
Also, refrain from microwaving yogurt or plastic containers. Plastic containers that are used only once, such as yogurt, sour cream, and margarine containers, should never be heated in the microwave. These containers are only supposed to be used once. Once used, they should be either thrown out or recycled. If microwaved, the plastic material will melt, let out chemicals to the food, and start a fire from the intense heat.
Well, never microwave styrofoam containers. Styrofoam is a type of plastic, and plastics and heat do not go well together. Many people microwave their styrofoam takeout containers without realizing the spark it can start. The intense heat catches the containers on fire and causes the containers to melt. Congratulations to Tommy and Kahuna. And second place is Ninja Star with his Child of the 90s from Rare Replay.
Nope, he can't have it. No more 90s nostalgia allowed. The pre-show covered all of that.
Okay, well, how about second place to Dobin for Pizza Eater?
I hear there's a place in Philadelphia.
West Philadelphia?
Born and raised.
At a pizza parlor that has some 90s nostalgia Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where you spent most of your days?
Maybe.
Well, for what it's worth, I don't eat at pizza parlors. I make my own. I have a great recipe. So what you do is you take 4 tablespoons of chia seeds and you put it, well, you got to take a cup of water and you put it in the microwave and you heat it up, but not too hot. And so then you put the 4 tablespoons of chia seeds in there and you mix them together. And then while that sits, you take 1 cup of tahini, 1 cup of flaxseed, 2/3 of a cup of arrowroot powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And you pour all these ingredients into a bowl with the chia seed sludge that has now been created. Last, you mix it together, and voila, you have 2 pizza crusts. You can always half this recipe, and if you want, just make 1 pizza crust.
Wow. Yeah, not Dobon either.
Okay, well, in light of that, let's see. Oh, yeah, let's go with second place to Saucy Slingo.
Oh, I remember him. Shamey Shame Go.
for his Saints Bro 4 achievement of, a piece of candy.
Oh, piece of candy. Did you know that not all candy is the same across different countries? Thus, a Butterfinger in the United States may not be a Butterfinger in lesser countries like United States Junior to our north.
Huh. Well, did you know that people don't eat Butterfingers anymore?
Yeah, actually I did. A press release went out in the summer of 2017 that said Nestle may soon be ready to let go of the popular United States candy brands, including Butterfinger, Baby Ruth, and 100 Grand, after the Swiss food and beverage maker said it's exploring strategic alternatives, including a possible sale of its American confectionery business. The U.S. unit booked sales of around 900 million Swiss francs in 2016 and represents about 3% of the company's U.S. sales.
Wow. I did see that the company said it remains fully committed to growing its leading international confectionery activities, including its focus on the Kit Kat brand.
Yes, so a Kit Kat isn't a Kit Kat elsewhere.
Yes, I am seeing that here. I see in the United States the ingredients are sugar, wheat flour, cocoa butter, non-fat milk, chocolate, refined palm kernel oil, lactose, milk fat contains 2% or less of soy lecithin, PGPR, which is an emulsifier, yeast, artificial flavor, salt, and sodium bicarbonate.
Wow. In the United States hat, it is milk chocolate, sugar, modified milk ingredients, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, whey powder, lactose, soy lecithin, polyglycerol polygranulate, natural flavor, wheat flour, sugar, modified palm oil, cocoa, sodium bicarbonate, soy lecithin, and yeast.
Wow, that is a lot different. But let's not exclude our listeners over in that continent that we bailed out in all those world wars, America. In Europe, a Kit Kat is milk chocolate, 66%, sugar, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, dried whole milk, cocoa mass, lactose, and proteins from whey. Whey powder, an emulsifier, which is a sunflower lecithin, butterfat flavoring, wheat flour, sugar, vegetable fat, cocoa mass, yeast, raising agent, sodium bicarbonate, I think is what they use, salt, and also another emulsifier, soya lecithin, and some flavorings.
It's a shame Xbox has not been discovered in Asia yet. Their Kit Kat is made of some pretty interesting things like octopus.
I don't know that that's quite accurate.
No, well, I made it up.
Well, it made me laugh. So, speaking of which, how do you make an octopus laugh? Tentacles.
Congratulations to Shamey Shamgo for second place.
And in first place, it's no other than Big L.
Yes, I knew it. In your face, NBA Kirkland and your fake full combo curating stupid shenanigans. I won the update. You play in the NBA, right? 2 words for you. Scoreboard. I win, baby. I win.
With his achievement from Green Day rock band of Won't Make It for Dinner.
What I did make for dinner, however, is I had some pizza, and some hamburgers, and some ketchup, just a ketchup packet. And I'm about to make some coffee and get some cookies.
Wow, that's very American.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your RTDL update. What the L pre-show edition.
Join us next week, maybe, for your regularly scheduled achievement program now that our point has been made.
I have a little ditty, my sweetheart, and I have been working on. Let's hit it. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.
They say we're gonna be in the top 10, but we won't know until next show.
Well, I don't know if all that's true, but I've got you, and Proulx, mate, you got Proulx.
Bot, I got you, bot.
Bot, I got you, bot.